If they don't have it, they come here.
These GPUs are assembled in China, so they apparently, I guess, they have spare.
And they buy it from these warehouses, which are on the upper floors of the building. They just have a carton. There's like probably a dozen tall and about the same deep.
There's a cluster. Yeah, as I said, they're being full. They're quite well utilized.
One of them sent me this price sheet. Ooh. We're multiple administrations deep in a technological Cold War over processing power between the United States and China. China's Cyberspace Administration has labeled some U.S. graphics processing products as a security risk, seeking answers about U.S. government backdoors in silicon. Meanwhile, the United States has imposed heavy restrictions on exports of graphics processing units, or GPUs, being sold to Chinese companies by American companies. The sale requires rarely granted licenses for each import scenario to legally export GPUs above a certain performance level, with the stated objective being to restrict progress of private and government projects, including AI development in China, while trying to maintain the US's AI leadership. The United States takes this so seriously that just this week, the Department of Justice had 2 Chinese nationals arrested in California for what it alleges is the smuggling of tens of millions of dollars worth of GPUs. Because where there's prohibition, there's smuggling. We spoke to everyone about this NVIDIA AI GPU black market in China and the US. We found middlemen who connect buyers and sellers.
This is it.
Cool. Wow.
坐，没事的。
你是他的客人吗？
我堂弟。
你好。
兄弟。
Users who can understand the demand and explain it using the most dystopian definition of wealth. How many GPUs they have.
They have much more GPUs than us. Than the university.
Yeah, we're GPU richer.
Oh, cool. Right. Wow.
And we got them quite cheap.
What model?
This is A100.
Oh, A100.
These are A100.
We also found independent repair shops who, simply doing their jobs, salvage valuable silicon components from dead PCBs of banned GPUs, innovatively hand-modifying them to be better than and have more VRAM than NVIDIA's own official product SKUs.
你在这里有48 GB 的409吗？
我们可以现做。
They can make one right now.
Okay.
对，我们可以现做的。
Okay. Hey, cool. We met multiple people who, when asked the same question, gave the same passcode-like Chinese idiomatic expression, or Chunyu.
你觉得NVIDIA 知道？
这个是当然知道的，但是就是它是怎么说呢？睁一只眼闭一只眼。
This is like you turn a blind eye.
Do you think NVIDIA knows? Do they try to stop it?
就是它是这样，可能就像睁一只眼闭一只眼。
And among others, we even spoke with a US-based Chinese national buying video cards in the US to strip them and ship the GPUs to companies in China, violating US export control law.
I haven't seen someone have a computer in a car for a long time.
These nervous laughs come from a viewer of ours while meeting in Arizona with a GPU smuggler we'll call The Plug. The smuggler spoke limited English, but they both understood one universal truth.
Oh, the temperature is too hot.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 universal truths. The second one is money, and this battery-operated Prius-mounted GPU testing rig with fur mark is the least suspicious thing in his car with a spare license plate in the trunk. We'll come back to The Plug later.
Black market is normally a phrase associated with drugs or guns, but there's a new kind of black market, and it's high-end AI GPUs. And this particular black market is worth billions of dollars a year, and it's hiding in plain sight.
This is Hong Kong. It's our first stop on this journey. By skyscraper count, Hong Kong would be the tallest city on Earth. The density is unbelievable. We spent a few days here for this story, wandering markets and meeting sources. Do you feel like the ban, is it targeted at like military uses where they're trying to prevent that?
I don't think from the U.S. government's perspective, there's this distinction between like Chinese academia versus Chinese military versus Chinese commercial. I think, no, I don't think they really consider there's a distinction, right?
Yeah. Just total.
Yeah, very general ban.
Yeah. So these GPUs are almost certainly moved one at a time, right? So it's very hard to get like a full HGX system, right?
Oh, so the 90 normally comes from Australia and Taiwan.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here to learn what the demand drivers are for these GPUs, how they get into China, and more about the illicit side of the GPU smuggling business. The community brought you this movie. This production is being funded by our viewers rather than putting a third-party ad here. We're supporting ourselves via the community so that we can produce more fully independent movies like this. We launched our own Kickstarter-style fundraiser on our store, linked below. In addition to physical products like our Blind Eye t-shirt, Black Market GPU sticker packs, Blacklisted t-shirt, and our new GPU VRAM glassware, we also have digital rewards available exclusively to backers on this page. These backer tiers are available only for one more week, featuring bonus videos, wallpaper packs, and the highest tier even has a Q&A session with me, a tube of cane pin thermal paste, and features a canvas print of a watercolor painting, painted by my mom actually, based on a photo I took in Hong Kong. We even hit a super stretch goal, where all backers of any tier will receive digital rewards on a USB key, including a copy of this very movie, so that you can watch it anywhere, anytime, without internet, and without YouTube AdSense ads, and preserve it in case it's taken down. If you prefer a single item, we have a brand new Blind Eye t-shirt featuring traditional Chinese characters written right to left, top to bottom, representing the idiomatic expression we kept hearing during this investigation.
睁一只眼闭一只眼
The shirt features a cyberpunk dystopian-style open eye with a camera as the iris. Our fundraiser's already hit several stretch goals, and because it's brought in so much, we're gonna release even more black market backer exclusive videos that you'll get shortly for backing this project. All of these items will ship throughout September and October as we bring them in, so place your orders now to get them when they go out. The link is below. Now, back to the program. This was our latest big adventure, and it began when we booked a 24-hour ticket to Hong Kong, 20 days of hotels across Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Zhengzhou, Huizhou, Dongguan, Taipei, and more. At least one of us got detained by at least one of the governments involved in this video, but we can't talk about these indecipherably singular or plural instances or instance of any aforementioned detainment. Next, we talked to a lawyer about the previous sentence, loaded into a cab that secured our luggage like this, then investigated whether or not GPUs are actually smuggled with lobsters into Hong Kong. NVIDIA was right, we've checked the lobsters for sensitive electronics and aren't any in there, so good move, Jensen. We found a pile of GPUs that are now export controlled and met a professor who really wants to make sure you know.
These are legally obtained. Okay. Legally obtained.
Came to a sudden realization that
if a banned GPU is assembled in China, then what's to stop them from just taking it off of the line?
That's actually a very good question, because what's preventing these GPUs from
falling off of the line?
Yeah. Exactly.
made friends with 3 different cats in Hong Kong. What do you think of the temple guards, Tannen?
They're very good at their job.
And said goodbye to this RGB city. We then booked a boat to Shekou, China. I told Tannen what Shekou means. You know what Shekou means, Tannen?
What does that mean?
Snake's mouth. Sounds inviting, right?
Yeah, awesome. Can't wait.
We arrived in Shenzhen, made small talk with hotel room service.
So, how long have you worked at the hotel?
Immediately got trapped in the hotel elevator by my new friend.
Traffic jam.
Almost witnessed a workplace accident. Got kicked out of a warehouse.
We got kicked out.
Yes, we did.
And then we instantly became fans of using high-speed rail at hundreds of miles an hour to go deep into China to meet a guy who really thinks that desoldering a GPU and reballing it is no big deal.
Really? That's the easy part.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a lot easier than doing this.
We got a ton of information in this video about GPU smuggling, including from this guy named 5.
然后赚差价，可能一张卡它会有500人民币到几千人民币不等的这样的一个差价，然后会通过这种手段去外面去购买带回来。
After that, we went back to Shenzhen for the third time in 2 weeks, met this guy.
Support GamersNexus. Support Jesus. Yeah. I'm his father.
Went back to Hong Kong, flew to Taiwan, got some street food, and got on a plane back to the US. We spoke to a lot of people for this story to go on record and learn about the dystopian world of high-tech GPU smuggling. We spoke to people ranging from owner-operator trading companies to professors of economics building data centers.
5090是有禁止吗？是有禁止还是没有？我都忘记了。
是禁止的。
禁止的市场上确实是有啊。
These are very expensive items. Yeah. Right? I would imagine you would keep track of everything, right?
We even tried to talk to the US Department of Commerce, but they didn't reply, and every person on the chain from the Department of State had out-of-office autoresponders because we coincidentally emailed them the same week of an especially problematic story that enigmatically involved name-dropping. But let's keep this focused on the hardware. Some of our sources are more confused by NVIDIA than others today.
然后说要再继续阉割一下，变成5090地利，double 地。
And people seem to laugh every time we ask about how many Intel GPUs they sell.
Intel 的显卡是吧
Intel 的显卡呢？
？Intel 的显卡没有啊。
But we want to connect as many dots of the smuggling line as we can today. And that's why we shot over 12 hours of interview footage that we just spent weeks cutting down for time. The point is finding people who know people, and each person in our lineup today has led us to at least one other person in this video, eventually building the full pipeline of smuggler to user. Although this story isn't about drugs, it is about a different thing that billionaire executives use to get high from.
Is AI.
AI.
But before we get to any of those interviews, we need to establish the basics of this geopolitical mess. This story is complicated, so we'll start with defining these key facts. Why these GPUs are banned, the new 15% license, which only applies to 2 GPU models, who buying and selling is legal or illegal for, and then the timeline. AI GPUs have been in even the mainstream news constantly.
China has spent decades modernizing its military with the express goal of catching up to the US. AI-enabled drones are key to achieving that goal.
We still sell billions of dollars a year of semiconductors to China. We just cannot let them access the most sophisticated, cutting-edge artificial intelligence chips.
The export ban did prevent China from getting the highest-end American chips, but it did not stop China from catching up in the AI race.
China's AI technology is getting a lot better.
The concerns over Chinese focus on AI.
China.
This story has been a complete mess to follow. It's spanned years, and now 2 US administrations. We ended up with over 400 pages of research and maps and finding sources and trying to understand the laws. Here's why governments care about AI GPUs. NVIDIA functionally holds a GPU monopoly in our sector of the industry, which is building computers to play video games. That now feels relatively innocent by comparison to AI. The company leveraged decades of gaming domination to build a foundation for what it now focuses on, which is making the most powerful GPUs for AI in the world. Reports warn of NVIDIA product use in nuclear weapons research, facial recognition technology allegedly used in Russia to suppress dissent, and growing concerns of AI facial recognition use in the US for similar deployments, alongside reports of use in international spying and in drone warfare. NVIDIA finds itself in the middle of all of this. Even though NVIDIA disputes selling to some of these entities, for example, it says that it doesn't sell GPUs to Russia, the products still find their way there. So NVIDIA is making money one way or the other. Someone is buying it, maybe from someone else who bought it from someone else, and much like we're talking about today, it might be transacted through smuggling. But NVIDIA does end up selling the device ultimately to somebody. Regardless of who they sell to, NVIDIA plays a big part in this worldwide obsession with
AI will also create AI, using AI to create AI.
And we think it's playing all sides. We'll talk about that more at the end, though. And besides, when there's a gold rush, it's better to sell the pickaxe than swing it.
There's so many companies that would like to build, they're sitting on gold mines. Gold mine. It's a gold mine. It gives me tremendous joy if you just buy something from NVIDIA. We're going to be rich.
Although the US doesn't talk too much about its own use of AI, it spends a lot of time talking about China's.
These semiconductors are unbelievably powerful, and we can't let them get into the wrong hands.
We want the most other countries using our technology because, again, it's a zero-sum game.
The concern, of course, in Washington, and particularly amongst the Defense Department and the Pentagon, is that these chips and this hardware and software ends up with the People's Liberation Army, the Chinese military, and will help them accelerate in terms of innovations on that front.
The restrictions are really on advanced semiconductors that could have potential military applications, and the goal is really to sort of choke China's AI sector and its broader AI ambitions.
The US restricts NVIDIA's GPUs through export control rules that ban the sale of certain GPUs into China. That means the sale of GPUs by American companies or companies which want to transact business in America to companies that are in China or the Chinese government itself. Some examples of export-controlled GPUs include gaming GPUs, like the RTX 5090 and the RTX 4090, which are useful in AI applications, mostly for their high VRAM capacity. It also includes specific data center and AI GPUs like the A100, H100, H200, and B100, with the letter being the signifier for the architecture, as well as other GPUs shown on the screen. Now, this list is in flux. There are some new and incoming exceptions for the NVIDIA H20 specifically, which has faced Schrodinger's GPU ban, depending on whether CEO Jensen Huang had a $1 million dinner at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump on a given week. A timeline would help, but we have 9 years to recap, so we'll do it quickly. Even at the end of the Obama administration in 2016, the US government was just starting to talk about AI in relation to national security in this Wired interview.
Developing international norms, rules, protocols, verification mechanisms around cybersecurity generally, and AI in particular, is in its infancy. You got a lot of non-state actors who are the biggest players. Part of the problem is that identifying who's doing what is much more difficult. Yeah, if you're building a bunch of ICBMs, we see them. If somebody's sitting at a keyboard, we don't. And so we've begun this conversation. A lot of the conversation right now is not at the level of dealing with real sophisticated AI, but has more to do with essentially states establishing norms about how they use their cyber capability. Who are you more afraid of, Big Brother and the state, or the guy who's trying to empty out your bank account? Part of the reason that's so difficult is that if we're going to police this Wild West, whether it's the internet or AI or any of these other areas, then by definition, the government's got to have capabilities. If it's got capabilities, then they're subject to abuse. And at a time when there's been a lot of mistrust built up about government, that makes it difficult.
Those were the early days. The first Trump administration started a commission advising Congress on maintaining AI leadership, including simply banning the sale of some advanced semiconductor equipment and chips to China. Several years of back and forth, a pandemic, an election, and ChatGPT's launch later, and the Biden administration took major action in 2022 by restricting exports to China, Hong Kong, and Macau. NVIDIA's Ampere architecture A100 and newer codename Hopper H100 GPUs and systems were all restricted. NVIDIA shed tears for $400 million worth of lost sales as a result, and it was especially sad when many of its export-compliant alternatives to these also got banned, like its newly created A800, H800, and L40S, in addition to NVIDIA's RTX 4090 gaming card. NVIDIA said it didn't expect, quote, near-term meaningful impact, end quote, on its financials. NVIDIA responds by designing a workaround to the previously worked-around workaround, leading to the H20. Then the government adds new rules for high-memory bandwidth cards, and the Biden administration tried to come up with an AI chip diffusion rule that would limit the quantity of GPUs being sold into different countries rather than only by processing power metrics, because the government really didn't know how the fuck to measure these things, and NVIDIA, knowing more about GPUs, could tweak any dial it wanted to just barely be compliant. Then DeepSeek came out, everyone panicked, stocks plummeted, and the government scrutinized the role of NVIDIA's GPUs in it. In February 2025, fiscal year 2025 results are posted, and NVIDIA's Singapore revenue rockets to 18% of total revenue based on customer billing location, despite shipments to Singapore being claimed to be less than 2% of fiscal year 2025 revenue, causing people to say, wait a minute. Unrelated, several GPU smugglers are arrested in Singapore one day after the fiscal year report was posted, causing people to say, that makes more sense. AMD spawns out of nowhere to say it wrote down $800 million of inventory due to export controls. NVIDIA one-ups it with a write-off of $5.5 billion. May 2025, Trump implements wide-sweeping tariffs and rescinds the Biden chip diffusion rule that would have limited how many AI GPUs Jensen could sell to other countries. Jensen says,
"It's just an incredible vision. I think this is going to be a transformative idea for the next century for us. These two initiatives are completely visionary, and it's going to be transformative for America."
The H20 GPU that was created to comply with the rules was still okay. Then Jensen had dinner with Trump at Mar-a-Lago for $1 million. Then the H20 got banned. Must have chosen a really bad restaurant. In July, Jensen Huang meets with Trump and is permitted to sell H20s again, presumably choosing a better restaurant this time. Huang goes to China. China says Jensen's GPUs have tracking devices backdoors. NVIDIA says nah. Jensen goes to Washington. Trump tells Jensen to...
Jensen, will you stand up? What a job.
He loves him. He loves...
NVIDIA.
He loves Lisa Su. And more importantly, he hates Intel CEO. Intel CEO goes to Washington. Trump likes him now. Tim Cook materializes from the infernal plane to give Trump a 24-karat gold gift. And gift is in scare quotes because that's not what that's called. Then we get to this past week when Trump asks NVIDIA and AMD to pay 20% to the US government for sales specifically of the H20 and AMD Instinct MI308 sales. Not all GPUs, as some erroneously reported previously. Cousins Jensen Huang and Lisa Su negotiate Trump down to 15%, and now they're allowed to sell two specific cards that were originally created to comply with the laws before they changed, and somehow everyone walks away a winner, except now China doesn't want them anyway. That about sums it up. Except one last thing that happened as we were filming this. The Department of Commerce doesn't yet know the legality of the deal, with Tom's Hardware highlighting legal expert arguments over Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. That's not our area, so we'll move along from it, but just know that this is being publicly discussed still. If you want the full details with all of the in-between, we did collect it, there will be a massive timeline article on the website. We'll link that below when it's up within a couple days. There was also recent news about a 15% revenue share between NVIDIA and AMD with the United States government for sale of some AI GPUs.
This is an old chip that China already has. And I deal with Jensen, who's a great guy, and NVIDIA. The chip that we're talking about, the H20, it's an old chip. China already has it in a different form, different name, but they have it. Or they have a combination of two will make up for it and even then some. But the H20 is obsolete. You know, it's one of those things, but it still has a market. So I said, listen, I want 20%. If I'm going to approve this for you, for the country, for our country, for the U.S. I don't want it myself. You know, every time I say like 747, I want, yeah, for the Air Force. So I just wanted, so when I say I want 20, I want for the country. I only care about the country. I don't care about myself. And he said, would you make it 15? So we negotiate a little deal. So he's selling a essentially old chip that Huawei has a similar chip, a chip that does the same thing. And I said, good, if I'm going to give it to you, because they have a, they have a stopper, what we call a stopper, not allowed to do it. It's really known as a restrictive covenant.
If you were to only read the headlines, you might think this applies to all GPUs and that the ban is over. And then you might think that a market in China, or in the US's eyes, an illegal market in China, would cease to be so illegal. That's not the case.
So I released them only from the H20.
This new 15% revenue share would, if it's legal, and they're not sure yet, allow NVIDIA to specifically sell the NVIDIA H20 GPU to approved Chinese entities. They likely can't be on the entity list. It would allow AMD to sell specifically the Instinct MI308 GPU to approved Chinese entities. The proposed license would not affect any other GPU that currently does not have a license. The government hasn't made clear yet if NVIDIA's partners would also be permitted to make these sales. That means that other banned GPUs, including the RTX 4090, RTX 5090, H100, B100, B200, and so forth, remain banned. The H20's extremely high 96GB memory capacity would enable large models to fit in memory and actually run, especially with multiple GPUs in a single rack, even if it's slower. That means companies can achieve performance targets by stacking GPUs, which are lower clock and core count but higher capacity, and doing NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang's favorite thing.
We were trying to solve scale up, scaling up, scale up, scale out, scaling up, scale it out, scale up, scaled up, scale up, and scaled it out, scaled it up, scaling in that way.
As for the newer Blackwell architecture GPUs,
now Jensen's a very brilliant guy, And Jensen also has a new chip, the Blackwell. Do you know what the Blackwell is? The Blackwell is super duper advanced.
Let's not give NVIDIA any ideas for new GPU names.
I wouldn't make a deal with that, although it's possible I'd make a deal, a somewhat enhanced in a negative way Blackwell. In other words, take 30% to 50% off of it. But that's the latest and the greatest in the world. Nobody has it. They won't have it for 5 years. On the Blackwell, I think he's coming to see me again about that. But that will be a unenhanced version of the big one.
For now, these super duper GPUs are not licensed for sale. In short, the H20 and MI308 were compliant with the US government's original rules. Then the rules changed during design and production, and they were banned. Then AMD and NVIDIA collectively declared over $6 billion in financial impact as a result. Then the US government said, wait a minute, we can help with that if you cut us in. It reminds us of our tariffs documentary.
And with this, if I see a tariff of 20 or 40% one week, 50 to 60 a day later, then I see it 120%. Then I see, well, electronics are maybe exempt, and in Bloomberg, and then I see on Truth Social, no, that's not actually happening. I have no idea what that means. So I can't make decisions because it's not about it being a high tariff. It's about not having a clue what's going on.
The H20 most certainly is not
obsolete,
though. It's still very desirable in China, and with a lot of them, they become particularly potent. Setting a threshold for banned hardware should be objective, since it can be tested. This is a graph from the Department of Commerce that visualizes the original threshold at which a computing product became automatically banned for export to parts of the Middle East and China without a granted license. There have been some changes since, but back when this was made, the total processing performance score on the y-axis was used to determine cards in need of a license. The government needed a metric to calculate against, so it created its own. Accelerators and video cards have a lot of metrics in their spec sheets, including memory capacity, which is critical and as simple as a pass-fail for certain AI and training use cases. They have hard numbers for memory bandwidth, GPU clock speed, GPU SM or CU count, TPCs, tensor cores, ROPs that are sometimes randomly missing on NVIDIA devices, teraflops, TOPS, petaflops, gigaflops, gigabits, power, and more. So then, banning a product could probably be based on some sort of benchmark rather than a random metric from a spec sheet. But the US government, illustrating what an absolute clusterfuck this situation was and now remains, decided to instead multiply one random metric from a spreadsheet against the bit length of the operation being executed. Flops, or floating point operations per second, and TOPS, or tera operations per second, are calculated by the company making the spec sheet and aren't a great measure of actual performance. These numbers are based on both marketing and whether we're talking about FP8, half precision floating point 16, single precision floating point 32, double precision FP64, integer performance or tensor performance, or otherwise. So the government says, quote, the rate of Mac TOPS is to be calculated at its maximum value theoretically possible, end quote, and quote, the rate of Mac TOPS is assumed to be the highest value the manufacturer claims in brochures for the integrated circuit, end quote. So it's not based on a bunch of real-world benchmarks of applications or something. The government also references Mac TOPS as the theoretical peak of tera-ops in multiply-accumulate computations. The Biden administration used this total processing performance, or TPP score, in 2023, with the government later adding a performance density metric, dividing the TPP by the die area in square millimeters. In other words, the government didn't want NVIDIA to be able to sell more of a lower performance GPU to make up for the loss of high-performing parts with multi-GPU solutions. There are a lot of reasons this doesn't capture the full picture, like sparsity, APIs, different methods to calculate flops, and different performance for different applications. But the government needed a way to define a threshold, so this is what they made. The limit was a TPP score of 4,800, exceeded by even the RTX 4090 when calculated using tensor performance. Now, if this doesn't mean anything to you, that's okay, because it probably doesn't mean anything to people signing the laws either. Or maybe that's not okay, but you get the idea. Something like a higher memory capacity, lower flops performance GPU, or even series of GPUs like 30, 60, 12 gigabyte cards might be able to get the work done more effectively if it only needs memory. Memory wasn't factored into the TPP calculation. That was the point of the NVIDIA H20, but then the absurdity of the situation expanded, because the government introduced an opaque memory bandwidth requirement. Per the register, quote, unlike with previous export controls, the Commerce Department's Bureau of Industry and Security hasn't issued specific guidance on how much I/O or memory bandwidth is too much, end quote. but they did decide that there would be a limit. So to recap, it seems like across 2 administrations, the United States is creating formulas based upon numerical calculations, and then when NVIDIA and AMD tweak the numbers to fit within that box, it's retconning those rules in a guess and check process. We spoke to a lot of people in this piece, and it's multilingual, which made it complicated. In order of appearance today, the discussions come from Dr. Vinci Chao, senior lecturer in the Department of Economics at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, responsible for building his department's machine learning servers and sourcing the GPUs from middlemen suppliers. Dr. Zihao Fu, a research assistant professor at the Chinese University of Hong Kong and an affiliated lecturer at the University of Cambridge. Zihao specializes in both computer science and linguistics. Various retail workers at computer markets in Hong Kong to get a ground-level understanding. Joe, the creative director of product at video card manufacturer Yeston, who worked with us for a separate piece, not this one, but he showed us his factories and suppliers, so we've included clips here as we relied on those tours for an understanding of how GPUs are brought into China for assembly on PCBs. An anonymous seller who goes by the pseudonym of Silver, based in Shenzhen, Bao'an, and managing a warehouse in Hong Kong that receives and processes smuggled GPUs. Vincent, a resourceful fence who lives next to the warehousing and markets filled with GPUs and accelerators. He buys and sells these devices in Shenzhen, Huaqiangbei, and his job is to know people. In addition to Vincent's cousin, the Fixer's Fixer. If someone needs a component to fix a broken video card or to build a new one, they go to people like him to get integrated circuits. Mr. 5, a Bilibili hardware reviewer with a specialized focus on thermal solutions. Like us, Mr. 5 has had run-ins with NVIDIA that have ended in a soured relationship over disputes regarding independent reviews and editorial independence. Zhang Ge, a renowned Bilibili uploader, basically a YouTuber in China, who runs a video card repair shop in Zhengzhou. In addition to repairs, he regularly gets large orders from customers asking him to build them custom, unofficial, higher VRAM capacity NVIDIA GPUs for large language model tasks. Companies in Singapore and Taiwan who act as intermediaries between NVIDIA, NVIDIA's partners, and companies in China. The Singaporean and Taiwanese companies are able to bring banned GPUs and servers into their own warehouses and resell them to Chinese companies, skirting export controls. We're unable to disclose their identities because there would be punishment from multiple governments and NVIDIA. The Plug, a US-based Chinese citizen who drives around the country buying hardware from American end users and resells it to companies in China and Hong Kong. And finally, a special thanks to our translator Raymond Wu of the Black Soda Agency in Taiwan. Here's the pipeline. If a GPU doesn't fall off the back of a truck in China after it was assembled, or if it isn't a QC defect that disappears from the scrap pile, it may instead have been moved by ants to get to China. Mayi Banjia is a linear pipeline. Each ant in the fire line serves a specific role. It'll help to name those roles to keep everything straight. Here's what we came up with. The source has access to GPUs. This could be as innocent as you unknowingly selling your card on Facebook Marketplace to the Plug. The Plug is responsible for acquiring from the original source and reselling the hardware to the China-based distributors. In between, there's a mule. Sometimes this is the Plug himself doing a trip home. We learned that overseas students also regularly return with what are feasibly defended as personal GPUs that they bought at Best Buy, and then may get resold for markup and profit. In either case, the mule gets the GPU into the country, either by shipping it without interception or by hand carrying it. Next is the middleman, receiving the GPUs and often interfacing with or managing the warehouses that store the cards. The middleman buys from multiple plugs, including factories that get rid of rejects with fixable or unimportant QC defects, then sells those devices to more localized distributors. That's when we get to the fence, who buys and sells GPUs between middlemen and warehouses to end users in China. Then we have who we're calling the fixer, except this time it's literal. The fixer is an optional step that may involve soldering and modifying a GPU to improve it beyond its original specification and make it more marketable for domestic AI uses. They might also just fix QC defects from factories. Finally, we have the user. This is self-explanatory. The user is the demand driver, and oftentimes, large enterprises want dozens or hundreds of GPUs or more, while smaller users, like the university, may just want individual units or small batches. With everyone's role named, let's continue. And now, we start our journey. First stop, Hong Kong. Upon arriving in Hong Kong, after checking out the local wildlife, one of our GPU dealer informants slipped us a price sheet for a mix of GPUs that are both export controlled and not. Alright, so check this out. This is a GPU price sheet where we just got to Hong Kong, and I've already been able to find a supplier who works as a middleman between smugglers. And you just pick the GPU you want, so you can see 5090,
4090, 48 gig, 5090. Down here, there's some A6000, A100, A180 gig. That's pretty valuable. So that's 75,000 renminbi. And so I found a supplier where basically the person who provided this is local, and they work with the smugglers. So they sit between the smuggler and the customer to supply and source GPUs. Problem is, I don't know what the going rate is for any of this. And so what we're going to do is take this price sheet to our local fixer, Dr. Vinci Chow at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and see what he thinks about the prices here, and if this process is normal. So for that, we hopped in a classic Hong Kong cab and headed across Victoria Harbor over to the Chinese University of Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. 谢谢 OK. Thank you, sir.
Bye bye. We found Dr. Vinci Chow through a Reuters story from a couple years ago. Vinci works in the economics department at the university, and he's responsible for having built many of the servers and machine learning systems that are in use daily.
Here's some professors. Oh yeah, Vinci.
He has a whole blog detailing his process, including the difficulty of sourcing components and the ease with fixing problems when so close to Shenzhen, such as having custom PCIe riser cables built and basically done the same day. Dr. Vinci Chow is the right person to start us off with this story and educate us on where to go next. We're here to learn the user's perspective, because before there could be any kind of market for it, there has to be demand. And that is what the university and organizations like it generate.
Hi, whoa.
How you doing?
Hey, nice meeting you.
Good to meet you. This is Tannen.
Hi.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Right, so we have several options.
Okay.
You can set up shop here. It's a construction site here right now.
Yeah.
So we are renovating.
An interesting anecdote is that Dr. Vinci Chow actually went to school with someone important at NVIDIA today, the Vice President of Applied Deep Learning Research.
I was actually in Berkeley at the same time as Brian Catanzaro.
Oh, cool.
We're working buddies.
That's cool. Yeah, I know him. Right. Wow. We won't be able to do much talking in here because of the noise. Yeah.
So, these are legally obtained. These are legally obtained. We got it actually very interesting because we got these, I think, right before
the ban.
No, right before ChatGPT was released.
Okay.
Around ChatGPT.
So several years ago.
Yes, and we got them quite cheap. One of them is actually modified from a SXM version. Before everything, GPU becomes such a scarce resource.
Yeah.
There was a period of time, I think right after crypto, crash, that GPU was actually quite cheap. Even A100 was actually quite cheap. We were able to get these for like less than $10,000 US. Right. And then ChatGPT came out and everything like it went crazy. Yeah. Even now, like if you go on like AliExpress, like you still see a lot of 2080 Ti, like 2080 Ti being modified. So for teaching, we use a 3060 because without modification in the Ampere generation, it has the highest memory capacity.
Right.
Right. But it's all gone. Like clearly there's demand.
It probably makes sense for us to get the mics on. Because of the way we shot this, you get to see something you don't normally get to see in our stories, which is all of the conversation leading up to formally filming. Sometimes there's more interesting information when we're just spitballing.
Like, I guess even universities have become more secretive, right? In the past, universities are very open,
right,
in terms of what we're doing, what we are capable of. These days, I think there are second thoughts. Some researchers might not want to be being so open.
Yeah, the collateral damage is an interesting
and
topic.
On the other hand, it's interesting because it's the export ban, right? So it's illegal to export to China,
and that'll be one of my questions for you.
Without permit, right? But then it's completely legal on our side, right? There's nothing that says that you cannot buy high-end GPU,
right?
So from our end, as long as we follow all relevant procedures, right? There's absolutely nothing illegal for us over here to buy these GPUs, right? So that makes it for a very interesting environment.
Yeah.
Like so, you have, because if you look at the university documents, right? I think you will be able to find obviously these universities have been purchasing GPUs, right? It's completely legal over on our side, right? Yet this is clearly not supposed to happen, right? From the perspective of the U.S. government,
right?
So, I guess for universities, once again, it depends a lot on how committed, a particular researcher or particular unit is when it comes to acquiring GPUs, right? I mean, if you pay enough, supply is there, right? Maybe not if you want to build like a super cluster, right? For research, most researchers are talking about 1 or 2 GPUs, right? And if they have the funding, then it's possible to obtain that. So it's just everything is more expensive.
That makes sense.
I'm in the Department of Economics, which is kind of interesting, I guess, for someone in the Department of Economics to talk about GPUs. But yeah, we started building our own cluster during the COVID, right?
Well, not just we, but you specifically.
Well, me, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm responsible for that. So it's we because the department has to fund it. Right. So I am the one who plans these things out, but the department funds it. I started building my own desktop computers back when I was in high school.
Cool.
Right. Hong Kong is a small place, right? I guess we'll visit that later on. But in Hong Kong, you can actually physically visit computer malls where you can just pick whatever parts you want. And then during COVID, then we had this idea. Then we probably have to try to provide remote access to computing power. The first GPUs we have was 1080 that we obtained from the computer malls. $500 US each. Back then I was thinking that's so expensive. $500 for a GPU. If you were to ask one of the local supplier, how much let's say H200 is going to cost? It's going to be about 30K.
US.
30K US. There's a big premium for data center GPUs, right? So even if you obtain an aging A100, that's still going to be almost 20K US.
Is anything from Blackwell over here yet?
No.
Not yet?
Not yet.
It's illegal for a company like NVIDIA to sell them into China.
Right.
But not for anybody here to buy them.
Yes.
I messaged some sellers on Alibaba.
Right.
And one of them sent me this price sheet.
Ooh.
Tell me, what do you make of this? Do you have any H200s in your servers?
Well, we want some.
Okay.
We want
some. I
some.
can connect you to the supplier.
We want some, right? We want.
So what
like that?
After tax, they want $213,000. What is that in US? Let's see. So that is $29,700 US.
Yeah, that's about I think the right.
I don't know what MSRP is, or if they even have one.
I think, but first of all, it's not like there are a lot of companies, even in the States, that would just put out an MSRP and they just buy it online or something like that, right?
Right.
But I think for the few companies that actually list a price, I think it's actually the premium is, as I said, it's surprisingly low.
Right.
It's almost as much. It's just about the same as their MSRP, as far as I can tell.
Do you know how these companies, like the suppliers, get the GPUs? Any idea? Because I've read a lot, right? I've read that I came across a Chinese phrase in one of the Baidu searches I did, and I think it was like "mai banjia" or something. And the idea, if I understood it correctly, was that a bunch of people kind of move one GPU.
Right. So these GPUs are almost certainly moved one at a time, right? So it's very hard to get a full XGX system, right? These days, most of the vendors would recommend getting the PCIe versions of the GPUs, because it's so difficult to smuggle in a full XGX system, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, if you want an XGX system, for example, the companies that have ways of obtaining them would recommend that they be installed in a different country.
Okay.
Right. So basically, you can like acquire GX and then have it installed in like Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Right?
So meaning.
Right.
It would actually be physically located somewhere else, and then you remote into it?
Right.
Okay.
That's what they would recommend if you want that. If you actually want it on premise, right, if you want it here, then almost every one of them would recommend that you just get the PCIe version.
Okay.
So that probably suggests...
Just because it's easier.
It's easier.
When you put in an order to buy something, is it already guaranteed here at that point? Or do they have to get it?
Depends.
Okay.
Some companies have limited stock. We're talking about probably maybe a dozen, right? So, but if you want more, then you would it would probably have to be like ordered and
like a deposit or something.
Yeah, shipped in from somewhere else.
Any idea what happens if they get caught? I mean, to your money, you know, like.
Well, we don't pay.
Okay.
Until we have to pay deposit, right? But then I presume if they cannot deliver,
you maybe get it back.
We will be able to get it back locally, since I mean, we're not doing anything illegal, so we can just go to the court and suit them. And
do the local governments even care? I mean, like, because I guess that was one of the things that was unclear to me, where if it leaves the U.S., like let's just say, as an example, if NVIDIA decides, you know what, we're just going to ship it straight from Santa Clara, California to Shenzhen or something, you know, that would be a problem.
Right.
But on the receiving side, do they care? You know, does like Hong Kong
I would say the receive. Well, I would say no. That we don't. We probably don't care. Right. I don't think the government is going to obtain these GPUs now that there's an export ban. I don't think they're going to do that. In Hong Kong, we have like basically the government essentially funded 2 H800 Superport, but they are both legally obtained right before the ban. So, and since then, there hasn't been any news that they're going to expand their capacity. So I would say the government probably not going to do it itself.
I guess the only thing they care about is if someone brings it in, they pay the import taxes.
Well, but there's no import tax in Hong Kong. We are free trade port.
Okay.
You can pretty much bring whatever you want, except normal things like firearms, like you can't do that, right? But otherwise, we are free trade port. So.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense then, because I think I read that Macau is the same, maybe free trade port.
Free trade port.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
But I'm pretty sure these GPUs don't go straight from the US to Hong Kong.
Right. They would go through.
They probably go through some third party country somewhere you can actually legally export those GPUs to.
Singapore comes up a lot.
Singapore comes up. Malaysia is another place that comes up. Right.
Have you heard of? I saw a story from The Economist actually, where they said now there's. Like they referred to it as, I think, data smuggling.
Right.
They're talking about bringing data from countries with the export ban to Singapore to have it processed locally.
Right. So I think it's similar to what some of these companies have offered us for consideration. Is that given how hard it is to bring in a large system, it's actually easier either to fund a system in Malaysia or Singapore, or you just rent capacity there, and then just remote access, right? Yeah. I mean, I guess the reason why you actually have to take physical hard drives back and forth is due to the size of the data.
Right.
It's going to be hard to
transfer
data remotely, but otherwise the idea is the same, right? Given that you cannot bring the system in, just have it somewhere you can access.
How you doing?
Steve?
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Zihao.
Good to meet you. Yeah, good to meet you. What department are you in?
I'm currently working in the linguistic department.
Okay.
So my focus is still doing some programming and running on GPU. Previous, my background is computer science. So I need a lot of GPUs.
Right. So you've already got the computer science background, but then...
Yeah. I got a computer science background in this university,
Do you have your own server cluster? Is it separate from the econ?
I think they have the best one.
Okay.
Theirs is the best one in this university.
So who built the one for the arts department?
Actually, we use the university's GPU. So university have a central GPU, and everyone can use that. If you buy some GPU and they can help you to manage that GPU.
Okay.
So that's how we are using. But I believe they have much more GPUs than us, than the university.
Yeah, we're GPU rich, right?
Right. GPU rich. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the things you guys use them for normally?
Just the training and inference large language models.
Okay.
Like for me, my research is about large language model. Yeah. So if you want to train a model, teach the language model to gain more knowledge, you need to fine tune. And before that, maybe a few years ago, we just train from scratch. But now it's not that popular. But we still need GPU to fine tune models.
Okay.
So this is why we need that.
What are the common uses for the models themselves? Like, do students use them for research, or what's the?
Yeah, if you are in the university, so mainly for research.
Okay.
So currently, because a large language model can do a lot of things, a lot of research department will focus on using that. So a lot of research will be focused on how can large language model help them. For example, like cleaning the data and doing some basic inference, or just imitate human to do some research.
Okay.
Something like this. So it will be.
Do you guys ever end up working with each other?
No, we
Not
haven't.
really.
Well, our two faculties are in talk of collaboration, but as you said, like a lot of demand really coming from researchers that are using these models for things like processing large amount of text data, right? So, like in the past, what we would do is that these researchers would hire junior research assistants to go through text data manually. And it's a very expensive and slow process, right? These days, all you have to do is to feed the text data to LLMs. And that really drives an explosive growth in demand for these LLMs. And because neither OpenAI nor Anthropic is interested in serving Hong Kong, which is part of China, right? So that means that there's a lot of demand for on-prem solution.
What so in linguistics, do you use it for just as an? I don't know a lot about linguistics research, but well, the Dongwan Lao Shi is she's a linguistics researcher, and so I know one of the things that they do in the University of Columbia in New York is they'll scan old documents from like the medieval ages, from 1,000 years ago, right?
That's cool.
And they try to convert it into modern English. So what kinds of research, I guess, to give me a better idea?
First one, if you want to do research on linguistics, you will be very interested in what the language model, how the language model are thinking, right?
Okay, yeah.
So we try to explain what happened inside the language model. And another research direction maybe is just use language model to processing the data. For example, you want to know how the children learn the language. Children learn bilingual or many languages. So how they do it. So you can use the language model to imitate the learning procedure. So this is one of the possible direction. So there will be a lot of things to do. Yeah.
What kinds of GPUs do you guys use?
Currently for our group, we have L40, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
With 40 GB memory, maybe I forgot. Sometimes we have a 6000 and then some gaming GPUs, RTX series.
Right.
Yeah. The gaming GPU is much faster, actually.
Is it really? Okay. Do you have any like 5090s yet, or 4090s?
I have used the 4090, but not 5090. I think memory is the most important part for researchers, because if it's running slow, then you can wait for 1 day or 2 days. It doesn't matter. But if the memory is small, then you cannot do anything. You cannot put your model inside the GPU.
It just doesn't run at all.
Yeah. So I need larger memory. So the speed is okay. I think currently is fine.
Do you guys ever get bottlenecked by the availability of the systems?
Well, it does happen, right? So, like, as much GPUs as we have, we're talking about, we have like 30, something like 30 top-of-the-line GPUs.
Yeah.
If we want to load, say, DeepSeek R1, right? That takes probably 16. right?
Okay.
That's half our capacity.
Right.
And if someone, like one of our teachers, what would say, I need DeepSeek R1 for 2 months,
right?
Then it would take a bit of planning, because we would have to see if we can balance the need of other users. It's not going to be enough if you want state-of-the-art model, given how big these state-of-the-art models are. I think all researchers would love to scale up what we do, but the reality is it might not be possible to get the hardware to support what we want to do.
If you had, and I know you don't, but if you had unlimited budget, right? Would you be able to get as many GPUs as you want, or is there still a supply constraint? You know,
So,
like in terms of buying.
Let's just say
GPUs.
somehow we obtain like, I don't know, millions of dollars
Right.
of funding, right?
Right.
Even if the university is providing that, right, there's still the problem of the export ban, right? Before the export ban, it can be done, right? There's another university, local university, HKUST. They obtained a full H800 SuperPort, yeah, at a considerable cost. But the university was able to fund it, and they managed to just get it right before the ban, right? So that's like kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity right now, right? From today's perspective,
Right.
And they did it, and they benefit from it. Their researchers get a full 400 GPU cluster to work with, right? It's university-wide, centrally funded, right? In CUHK, yeah, it's just not something we can do right now, right?
I think in CUHK it's managed by each group.
Right.
I believe the
Yeah, it's
computer
very-
department
here-
also have a very big one.
Yes, so here, that's our university. It's a bit decentralized. So, part of the problem, as I've mentioned, is the fact that with the export ban, departments are not necessarily willing to publicly list their computing capabilities.
I think the next thing we should probably check out the server.
Well, in the university, the working language is English and then Mandarin.
Right. Okay. The university's name, I think.
Oh, that's okay.
The
That's
Chinese one.
we have to clarify, because people always come with this question. The Chinese University of Hong Kong.
中文嘛。
香港中文大学. We teach in English.
Okay.
Chinese means Chinese culture, Chinese heritage, not Chinese language.
Okay.
Right? That's what a lot of the exchange students was confused about.
Right.
They thought like we teach in Chinese. No, we teach in English.
Okay, interesting. So this is your
super cool.
cluster.
There's that cluster.
Have you seen it before?
In some other places.
Oh, but never his?
Yeah, never here.
Cool.
Yeah, never in Hong Kong.
Yeah, as I said, they're being full. They're quite well utilized. This is actually not part of the cluster. This is our non-cluster stuff like web server and stuff. But yeah, so these two racks are the cluster.
Did you have to do anything special for the air conditioning?
So I mean, as I said, this is kind of like clandestine, right? The thing is, these GPUs are very hot, right? A single 8 GPU system can put out like 4,000 watts.
Oh, okay.
Right? So it's like two hair dryers.
So when you say a single 8 GPU system, how many does each rack or each blade have in it?
So like a 4U unit these days, like these ones, like this one, like and this one, these ones, these are all 8 GPU systems.
Okay.
Right.
So for you, is each of these all different configurations?
So now our cluster was built up over like almost 5 years, right? So that's why we have some really old systems that come from 5 years ago, and we just keep adding things. That's a bit different from, let's say, some unit like full SuperPort, which is purchased in one go, then everything will be the same.
Right.
Right. Here we just keep adding capacity and just leave the old components until they gradually not work.
Until they're not useful anymore.
They're not useful anymore. Right.
Did you have to do special power design, power delivery, cooling?
Yes. You cannot just plug these GPUs into a wall socket. It would blow the fuse immediately. So we need two three-phase. We have two three-phase power specially installed in this room.
So they have these massive plugs for power. There's one there, and then there's one over here. And then you can actually see they're running flex ductwork. And you can see it shaking at the bottom of that one in the back, where it's actually shaking because it's pulling in all of the exhaust from the servers. And they're piping that up. So I think that's the return. That might be the front side. We'll take a look, but they're basically circulating it with the flex ductwork. Crazy. And that looks like maybe more, I think that's more AC going up to the mini split up top. I guess how many, A100s or H100s?
Right, we have something like 30 A100 class GPUs, and then we have a bunch of like 3090s, 3060s, right? So in total, we're talking about, 50 or 60 GPUs.
Okay.
Right, so yeah, but the top of the line GPUs are for teachers.
What are the 60 class cards for, like 3060s? For
teaching.
Example? Just teaching.
Teaching.
Wow.
It's for teaching. So we have these undergraduate machine learning courses, and we let students load hugging face models. These 3060s are for them. We don't want them to occupy the A100.
Right.
So, and 3060s have 12 gigabyte of memory. That's
right.
That's more than enough to load some of the smaller models.
Good ones have 12. They made another one.
Right. We make sure we get the 12 ones. Right?
Yeah.
So that's sufficient for loading a small model that they can work on.
Right. Does memory bandwidth matter a lot?
It matters. So to better utilize the resources, we offer the options for each researcher to load their own model, but we have also this centralized, like our own local ChatGPT thing. We have used Open Web UI. And with with VOM as the backend,
right.
So we offer just this pre-set up system where we can serve like Germer, we can serve DeepSeek, and then when it comes to getting high throughput, bandwidth would matter.
Because for the export control, the U.S. government does a calculation, right, for some amount of points. Like they made up a system. And memory bandwidth is one of the components of the formula. Yeah.
They're getting smarter, right? Because there has been multiple versions of bands, right? The very first band was targeting the NVLink, I think.
Okay.
The A100 to A100 as NVLink. So that has a little effect. Yes, it's a bit slower, but it's still okay, right? And then I think they switched to targeting the flops.
Yeah.
But that I think
there was a certain amount of flops you can't exceed.
Then I think depends on workload. I think it didn't work as well as they might have hoped for, because the H20 still sold really well.
Well, I mean, that's what's so interesting about it is the government's, at least the U.S. government, hasn't really caught up to what these are,
Right.
And so,
that's true.
So they don't know how to ban it, I feel like. So they just kind of pick a number.
It's developing very fast, right? Because if you go back like 5 years ago, everyone probably would think that flops is a very important metric to consider. But turns out when it comes to loading large models, what we all care about is how much memory, how much VRAM you have, right? You simply cannot load a model if you don't have the VRAM.
Right.
So now H20 becomes a very attractive option because
what's the spec on the H20 again? Do you
remember? So H20 has drastically lower flops, right? But then it actually has more memory than the original H100.
What's the capacity?
I think it's 94, 96 versus the 80.
Yeah.
The original version 80 is 80. Right? So it's actually in some sense more attractive.
So everything you guys have named so far, it's all NVIDIA. So are there any non-NVIDIA GPUs like in the university cluster?
I think currently I didn't say any non-NVIDIA one. But I think it's promising. The AMD one, currently PyTorch also still support AMD one. I think in the future it will be another choice.
The Instinct MI, AMD MI GPUs?
I didn't remember the.
Yeah.
What about Intel? Because they just started making the B60s. Is that interesting at all?
I mean, we always like to explore options, right? To have more computing power.
Yeah.
We actually expressed interest in AMD, and we asked around, to the outcoming suppliers, and they said the risk is too high for them, right? Because they have to support it. And they had, I think there's one supplier who told me they had tried to sell an Instinct GPU in the past, and then the customer returned it because they couldn't figure out how to make it work.
Right.
And then they realized that they don't really want to carry the risk of having a GPU that people are going to return.
Don't know how to.
So they would rather just not deal with.
Do you know any AMD GPUs that also are export controlled?
I think the Instinct line is also covered under the export ban, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's also part of the problem. If you're going to go through the hassle of smuggling something, you better smuggle something that people actually want.
Right. Yeah. And well, is there any support for it if it's a smuggled device and you have a problem, what happens? You know,
right?
Like if a MOSFET blows up,
right.
You know.
So now we obtain all these under under following university procedure, and part of that is that there should be warranty, right?
Okay.
I mean, now the supplier is clearly going to promise you warranty,
right?
But they also indicate that now for the PCIe version, they are pretty confident they can support it because I think they just exchange it for a new one and just try to move that one out, one at a time, right?
Right.
But if it's an HGX system, even if they manage to get it in, they don't promise anything basically.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, for contractual reasons, they would promise warranty.
Right.
But whether they can actually do it, they can't actually guarantee.
Okay.
Right. So actually, we have a legally obtained HGX 800 system that we got before the ban. And as far as I know, after our initial, I think 5-year support contract ends, it's not possible to renew. There's a 4U system with 800 inside.
Do you ever physically go to pick up the GPUs when you're arranging from a supplier, or they just ship it here?
They usually ship here.
So it's just like
Express.
totally normal commerce, basically?
Right. They just ship here by
It's so interesting because I feel like when you think about like this concept of like the black market GPUs, and earlier I had said I found online a story that talked about Mai Banjia. And you think of it like that, it seems like when you go to buy a GPU that's banned, it feels like you would be going to a dark alley and handing him cash, right?
Yeah.
And he hands you a GPU. But that's not how it works.
Yeah. No.
So they just ship it.
I think it's good. That way it's good for personal usage. It's not quite good for a very big cluster.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So does if it's that sort of easy where it just ships to you, does the ban seem effective?
Like as I said, if it is effective in preventing the building of a very big cluster, right? It's just not possible to get 100,000 of these GPUs.
Like we heard about some of the other companies having.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think there are like people from the company who refuted that idea, right? We don't really have that many. I think that.
Right.
Right.
Why do you think the U.S. government cares so much? Like, what is it they're trying to prevent?
I guess they just want to delay the speed of other countries of training the model. But seems I don't know, their ban is very weird actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the ban, is it targeted at like military uses where they're trying to prevent that, and then it just happens to affect you guys as well? Or are they targeting, you think, just companies in general?
I guess it's in general, every company, every people will be influenced by this. So I guess just to delay the speed of research.
Yeah.
Just like my experiment, for example, if I can have better GPU, I can finish in 1 day. But now 2 days or 3 days,
right.
That's fine. You just wait a little bit. You get the same thing.
I don't think from the U.S. government's perspective, there's this distinction between like Chinese academia versus Chinese military versus Chinese commercial. I don't think they really consider there's a distinction, right?
Yeah.
Just total.
Yeah, very general ban.
Right. I know Huawei has the new Ascend, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Is that interesting at all? I mean, does it seem like that's promising for you guys?
Huawei's GPU, I think they built that for many years, and they also trained some language model based on that. So currently, seems no friends around me are using, but maybe in the future they are trying to try that if they still cannot get the NVIDIA one.
Do you guys need CUDA for your stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely. If you want to train the model, you need CUDA.
Right. So I feel like we can still get by because we, as I said, we're not really needing that many GPUs, right?
Yeah.
So there's still enough supply, NVIDIA GPUs supply around for what we need.
Right.
Right. But if we want to scale up, then NVIDIA is just not possible right now. So probably one way eventually, like something like Huawei Ascendance would be.
You said you have an interesting GPU that was modded, I guess.
Yes. We have several GPUs, like as I said, like this is one of those like reference board.
Yeah.
And RTX 3090.
Yeah. This is a 3090.
This is a 3090. I think it's very Chinese specific, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you can actually.
They were not popular in the US. You
Yeah,
could get them, but not many. Yeah.
Because they're noisy. They're
Yeah.
really noisy.
Yeah.
And the only reason to get these is because you want like multiple of them.
Yeah. Right.
Packed closely together. They're designed for that purpose, right? So they have these kind of slots. One of these I think are like a normal, actual PCIe version of A100. And this one is actually a modded version, but they use the same casing.
Okay.
So this one is actually modded from a SXM version. So if you install it and take a look at the NVIDIA system information, this one will show up just like it's shown as SXM.
SXM. Okay.
SXM. Right, but they look the same. This is actually a very interesting question because, as far as I understand, this is possible because these GPUs are assembled in China. These GPUs are assembled in China, so they apparently, I guess, they have spare casings, right?
Well, so here's a question for you: if a banned GPU is assembled in China, then what's to stop them from just taking it off of the line?
That's actually a very good question because, as far as I know, even the H200 seems to be assembled in China.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what's preventing these GPUs from
falling off of the line. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah. I don't understand how it works at all. How is the ban even going to... How is the ban is even working? Like, the box of these GPUs clearly state they are manufactured in China.
Right.
Right. So, I'm not sure how actually that works.
I mean, it's like... NVIDIA's not allowed to sell it to China,
right?
But they can make it here,
China,
and then the intent, I guess, is they ship it somewhere else, and then they can't ship it back,
right?
But it just seems like if I'm the factory, it seems like there's a lot of money in.
Right. So
we had some QC defects, right?
Right. So my guess is there must be spares. I don't know, right? Spare SXM, like. Modules, spare casings, and then somehow these spare parts just get assembled into a complete GPU and get sold.
Yeah.
So currently it seems like, that this whole GPU manufacturing thing has the flavor of that.
Yeah.
Right? All these high-end GPUs are still manufactured in China, but they're not allowed to be sold in China.
Yeah.
And somehow the US government thinks that's going to work, and somehow the Chinese government also allows that to happen. I have no idea how actually that whole thing works.
Right. That's so strange. Because like the GPU silicon is made in TSMC, which is all over Taiwan mostly. Yeah. So they make it there, they ship it to the factory in China, I guess, and then an SMT line must populate the board.
Right. One of the GPUs we have, one of the A100s we have, they're modded. I think one of the NVLink doesn't work. So my guess, the explanation is it's probably failed QC,
right?
And then it just gets assembled and.
Right,
sold.
And so then you have 2 out of 3, I guess, NVLink?
You just have, so it's just going to be slower.
Right.
Right, but for a bargain price.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it cheaper than like a fully functioning?
Yeah, like I think it was cheaper.
Okay.
It was cheaper, but doesn't make a difference if you're just using one GPU.
Right.
So it would be a bargain.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you think NVIDIA knows that all of this is happening?
I would be surprised if they don't, right?
Yeah.
I would be surprised. I would be really surprised if they don't. Right? These are very expensive items.
Yeah.
Right? I would imagine you would keep track of everything, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that? It's hard to know what they can do, what they plan to do with all these defective parts. But I'll be very surprised that no one have ever thought of the possibility that if it's something so valuable, someone would come up with a use of
even a defective one.
Defective ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like the AGPU servers. Like we could pull out one of them if you want to see what's.
If it doesn't disrupt you, that would be great.
One of them. We have it now. Yeah.
what one.
This seems interesting. So
this is one of our older ones. This is our older one because this one is not. It's basically assembled completely from like retail parts.
Okay.
Right. So this whole system is obtained around when the time when ChatGPT came out, right?
Yeah.
So this is the time when everything you can get from AliExpress.
Yeah.
Like the case, right?
So you bought all of this just on AliExpress?
Yes, everything is from AliExpress. Everything from AliExpress.
Cool.
Like CPU, RAM. The part that's by far the hardest to get is the power supply.
I saw you write about that in your
Right.
blog.
Right.
What makes it difficult?
Because now it's very hard to get high quality, high power server grade power supply. This like you need in order to support 4 A100, you need like 2000 watt power supply, and
Right.
you need these kind of server grade redundant
Yeah.
power supply, and there's just no demand in the from retail customers for these kind of GPUs. So for these kind of power supplies,
So
this
supply
like,
is low?
right? If you buy this case, mostly they come with something like a 800 watt power supply.
Yeah.
And we need 2000. So that's the hardest part, right? To source.
Is this a redundant power supply?
This is a redundant power supply.
Okay, so it's got a failover. The CPU, what are you using for this?
This is a Epic 7763. That you can get from AliExpress, no problem.
Okay.
If you need to. And then the port is from ASRock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ASRock board.
ASRock rack.
Yeah.
So it's like the server line of ASRock. It does have like 7 PCIe slot. But then in order to, because we need we want infinite band network.
Yeah.
So we have these cables like specially made to the
they're custom made.
To the length we need.
Okay.
Right, we need it to be this long, and to support the infinite band card.
Is that that down there?
Yeah, this is the like.
So that's the infinite band card.
Right. That's the 200. That's the HDR 200 GB card.
Right.
Card. Yeah.
Is all of this stuff pretty high priority for the university at this point? Like on the, technology side, are they invested in the purchasing? You know.
I think the university is realizing how important this is, right? That's why we have this brainstorming session.
Right.
Yeah. I guess university will begin to buy more GPU and try to find some strategy to share with the whole staff members.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
Cool.
But it's just a start.
Right. It's I think we would try to catch up quickly.
Yeah.
Try to catch up quickly.
Very cool server room. It's impressive.
Wired they just happily provide you with their Weixin. And I'm not encouraging working 24/7, but like customer support in China, it is 24/7.
Right.
Not designed for Hong Kong.
Not designed for Hong Kong.
Right.
They don't sell it anymore.
So Hong Kong is a free trade port, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
But China mainland is not?
Except Hainan, right? Except Hainan.
Yeah, Hainan. And some part of Shanghai also makes similar policy.
And that just means no local tariffs, no import taxes?
Yeah.
Right. And relatively simple paperwork, I guess.
Okay.
Right. This is where we call the university mall.
Okay.
It's where we hold out like a commencement.
Cool. Yeah.
The graduation ceremony here.
Yeah. Wow, this is nice.
Right?
Yeah,
It's called
Wow, holy shit.
So that's the science park of Hong Kong, and you actually see one of our unicorns, a little bit, sense time.
What do they do?
Facial recognition, previously.
AI. I would say AI.
Yeah, general
AI. But they kind of built the business on facial recognition.
CCTV stuff.
Chinese government is a big customer.
Right. Do you feel like you guys are locked in at this point to NVIDIA because of CUDA? I guess to rephrase it, is there a difference in what matters more to you? You know, the power of the hardware or the power of CUDA? Because both are very good.
So I would imagine if someone put in enough effort so that non-NVIDIA hardware runs just as well as NVIDIA hardware in PyTorch, and then the VLM and stuff, then would not be too hard for us to switch. But I guess that's harder to do than to say, right? Because someone has to put in the effort to make the models run smooth.
There has to be a good reason to switch.
That part is hard.
Yeah. Only problem is if you switch to other devices, you will have a lot of bugs.
Right.
Some bugs you cannot fix. You need the whole community to help you. So this is a very slow procedure. Definitely the CUDA and the NVIDIA is currently the best one you can choose.
Right. After this discussion, Zihao parted ways, and Vinci brought us to one of his favorite tech spots in Hong Kong, the Golden Computer Center, and the outdoor tech flea market next to it. We actually have a whole separate video looking at some of these places. After this trip, we asked him if we could go find some supposedly banned GPUs, like the RTX 5090, except available in public, where, in theory, you shouldn't be able to find it. The hope was to find a shopkeeper with some ground-level knowledge, or consumer-level.
Everyone wants Jensen's flavor.
Do you still frequently go to the market?
Not as often as before.
Yeah.
Right. So, mostly because I've mostly switched to using server components, right? And you can't get these components in these markets. Our cluster is pretty much exclusively EPYC, which is rare when we start building out 5 years ago.
5 years ago, there's probably still a lot of Intel.
Right. Everyone is still buying Intel, and we started buying AMD. So right now in our cluster, we have the last generation Genoa CPUs, and I think we have 256 core across 2 CPUs. My guess is these GPUs are probably smuggled in from from Southeast Asia. In that case, unless those countries try to enforce the ban.
But I feel like most of them probably wouldn't really care. You know, it's not their ban. So.
Right, it's not their ban, and why cross the Chinese?
Right, that's a good point too. Yeah, I guess they've got 2 choices, right?
Right, which is why Biden
piss off America or piss off China.
Right, well, that's why Biden had this idea where the Biden administration had this idea where you're gonna have to separate the world into different zones, and some zones are trusted and some are not. Right, but then this is scrape it, right? So now it's back to, I guess,
back to one by one.
Yeah, back to one by one, right? And I haven't heard anything about the countries having to prove themselves to be trustworthy anymore.
It must be frustrating for NVIDIA on some level, because
I'm sure they would rather much that they can just sell whatever they want to China. If they come up with a product that is in high demand, that means it's useful for AI. And if it's useful for AI, the US government wants to ban it.
Right. Do you think the export controls are having their desired effect? Like for the US?
Yeah, well, yes, in terms of stopping China from building a comparable GPU cluster to US.
Right. So it's really just about what you keep coming back to, which is if you want to buy thousands of them, it does make it a lot harder. Because I guess ideally, if you want to buy 10,000 GPUs, you probably buy it straight from NVIDIA if you can. Yeah.
Not even that many. Even if you're buying, let's say, 400.
Okay.
Right? Let's say a superport.
Right.
Then the NVIDIA is likely going to be directly involved.
I do wonder, it seems like if you make it hard enough to get US products, eventually you would think China would just dump its own resources into helping like a domestic,
So, well, China is already doing that.
Okay.
Yes, Chinese companies trying very hard to come up with a competitive GPU.
All right. So where are we going? What's this place called?
This is a shopping mall called Dragon Center.
Watch your belongings.
I did lock all the doors, right? That's just me. I mean, okay.
I asked him if it's safe to leave it in the car, and the first time we say it, he says, watch your belongings from the police.
I mean, they're priceless too. I mean, be transparent. Oh, this one. It's a parallel import. Parallel import.
Where is it?
平衡进口.
Oh.
Parallel import.
What does that mean?
That means not imported by an official distributor.
So like kind of
what it practically means is smuggling.
Smuggling. Yeah. Right. So what are their prices? So the cheapest one.
Cheapest one it says is a Sultan.
That's a big price difference.
Yeah.
Almost 2x.
But the ROG ones are always expensive.
Yeah, but it's not worth that much, you know? Like the price difference, I mean.
I guess when the supply is one.
Sure. Yeah. One that someone maybe brought in from another country, I guess. That's interesting too, like if they have to account for cost of like plane tickets and stuff. So that Astral is $5,223 US. So it's the cost of like almost two 5090s at home for us.
Is it even in stock? The cheapest one is, I think it's about 3,000.
24, so yeah, 3,057 USD. And that's not like, that's pretty close to the average price. In the US, the average price is 3,050 right now. It's actually like the same. I see they have The 5080, I guess, is still okay. It's not banned, right? So.
Yeah, but I think it's, if I remember correctly, the 5090D wasn't that expensive. So it's probably the price has gone up.
Right. Yeah, because I mean it's like more expensive than the cheapest 5090. Yeah. Interesting.
It's possible that it still comes with warranty. Like these ones probably have no warranty at all. Oh no, I mean 3 years Hong Kong warranty. I think what that means is that the store promised that they're going to help you.
Right.
But I think these ones, the 5090D, they were imported back when it's legal.
Right.
So they still, I think they actually have official warranty.
That's actually, yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if you bought one when it was legal, if you still get support.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Yeah.
At least that's the case with our data center GPUs.
Okay, that makes sense. Oh, there's a D. The D is banned now.
Yes. They can come out with DD or what?
DV2. Yeah.
I think the price has gone up. In like now that it's going to be banned.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can buy a 5090 FE here.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's supposed to be banned, right?
Yes.
But you can just buy it retail in a store.
As I said, it's not illegal to buy.
Right. But I guess what's surprising me is how easy it is to buy them.
With the right price.
36,000 HKD.
That's pretty expensive.
That sounds expensive.
That's like 4,000 US dollars.
4,600 US.
Right.
Wow.
See?
Yeah, but you can get it there. So I guess the main impact then of the ban is the price goes up. Right. Yeah. Any idea how they get their 5090s? Same way you do?
Same way how the high-end GPUs get moved in.
Okay.
Although I think for these ones, there's a chance that it's actually directly moved in from other countries.
You think one by one, I guess? One by one?
I think so. I've heard that some students would do that.
Okay.
Like, buy one from Best Buy.
Right.
Move it move it back. Right?
To a third country?
No, just straight back to...
Oh, straight back, okay.
Straight back. Right? I mean, if it's with a premium like that...
Do you happen to know, I mean, that premium's great. They can double their money, right? Is there, do you happen to know, is there any law against bringing it in for personal use?
In Hong Kong, no.
I mean, like, from the US. I mean, like, if customs stops you, but I guess they would have to find it in your bag, so they'd have to search your bags. It's pretty unlikely, yeah.
And you're relying on the customs officers knowing that this particular model.
Good point, yeah. That is a good point. And then carrying. Like, if it, yeah. Okay.
I really don't think that's going to happen.
Right. I guess that's how they get in one by one then.
Probably 550s per button in China.
What's that?
We only get a 5090D stock.
So the 1590, the Founders Edition, maybe not in stock.
Yeah, we directly order from other countries.
What's the most popular card?
90. No D. Always come from Australia. And the second one is Taiwan.
Oh, so the 90 normally comes from Australia and Taiwan.
Yeah.
Can you buy bulk, a lot of them at once, or is it just one at a time?
Very tricky is that almost you can order from mainland China. Yeah, you can buy lots.
Oh, mainland?
Yeah.
For 90?
Yeah.
Okay.
Recently we got an ad from Facebook that are selling in Mongkok. They will provide lots of 90 only.
Okay. Is it expensive?
Very interesting. 90 only, sometimes cheaper than 90D.
Okay, wow. Do you guys ever sell like RTX 6000? Or is it too...
Because RTX 6000 we got ADA edition.
ADA,
Yeah, ADA edition. So replacement will be ADA edition.
But no Blackwell?
Yeah. Otherwise, also from mainland.
Right, okay. Interesting. 5090, do you have to get it from a different supplier than 80?
Some models yes, some models no.
Okay.
Because the card problems, the distributor only can send back to the original page.
Got it.
Yeah. But local distributor, they can do DOA or RMA.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the US problem, yeah, the like 4090 or 590.
Right.
If they got problems, they cannot get back to China region.
Do you have any idea how the mainland suppliers get the 5090s?
No idea.
No idea. Okay.
Yeah, because too much supplier. Yeah, they are doing trading. They can transfer the other regions product to Hong Kong.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have no idea what way they come, but we can know which region, like Australia, Taiwan.
Right.
Because Taiwan get lots of stock. Yeah, in because like last generation, like 4090. Yeah, the price raised very high. Yeah, but Taiwan think that in 50 generation they can make lots of profits.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not seems like what they thought.
It is still funny to me, just like how much it flies in the face of U.S. export control that you can just walk around in a public-facing mall and buy a 5090. Now, given that it is very expensive, but it's not like you just can't buy it anymore. So I guess if you really need it, you can get it.
And I really don't think locals think much about buying the GPU. These GPUs other than price, right? It's expensive, but the fact that there's an export ban, I don't think crossed the mind.
They don't really consider it. Yeah. With that, we wrapped our first full tour of Hong Kong. The city was impressive and filled with character and culture and GPUs, apparently, because one of our next stops sent a message the night we were planning to hitch a ferry to Shekou Port in Shenzhen. He told me they had just received a batch of GPUs to their Hong Kong warehouse and that they were en route to their Shenzhen facility and that we could buy a GPU as soon as tomorrow, as long as we wired him money immediately. That seems like the responsible thing to do, and because it's fully above board as a buyer, and because he also texted me a photo of an RTX Pro 6000, which was very intriguing since it's Blackwell, we decided the best way to learn about buying export-controlled GPUs in China would be to just do it. So far, all the contacts we spoke with were aware that some form of factory repurposing, theft from the line, QC reject repurposing, repair, and actual by-hand smuggling are involved. But none of them knew for sure how the GPUs actually move. To get closer to the source of the movement, we decided to wire those funds and get an address. You there?
Steven.
Yes.
Is this Steven?
Yeah, how's it going?
Oh my god. You ready to help get here?
Yeah, so I've got $3,289 going out.
Perfect.
Yeah, that'll be from the GN account, and then it's going to and their bank, and then account number is Swift, I guess is what you need probably.
Okay, good to go. I will get this done for you.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
All right, have fun. Be safe.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
We'll see if the money's gone in 2 days. So that'll be our next adventure. We packed the hotel, said goodbye to the famous Hong Kong junk boat, potentially said goodbye to $3,000, and boarded a ferry to Shekou port. But we're gonna take a quick detour in the story here because we have a source who says he has more information on how GPUs get into China. So before checking with our GPU middlemen and our fence, we're first gonna meet up with someone else. Next up, we took a couple-hour car ride to Huizhou to meet with a guy known as Mr. 5. Huizhou is a city with some serious grit. The city has grown to take some of Shenzhen's factory industry as it's been pushed out over the years with Shenzhen's expansion and as it's turned into more of a metropolis. This is a complete 180 from the finance hub that we were just in. We've spent a good amount of time at Huizhou over the last decade, mostly visiting case, painting, tempered glass, bending, and tooling factories, alongside those for heat sinks, like for video cards. He's a cooling hardware reviewer and has specialist knowledge in factories that make video card cooling solutions, including NVIDIA's. This experience allows him more access to information about the peculiar relationship between the factories making the cards and the companies that, on paper, can't sell them to the country where they're made. We instantly related to Mr. 5 for his own editorial dispute with NVIDIA's review sampling process, where we've both felt that the company seeks to control review direction. His username is 51972 on Bilibili. Even if you can't speak Chinese, you should check it out, because he's got charts, and everyone can read those. Most of this interview is in Chinese, but we've transcribed it in subtitles, and there are English sections as well. The next interviews will be a mix of both languages. Okay, so we are joined by 5. That is his English name. I noticed when we came to China in SEG E-Market, I noticed a lot of 5090s。从我在赛格，深圳的赛格的时候，
对，赛格电脑城，
对，注意到很多5090，
对，
所以他们怎么进来中国？
哦，怎么来到中国？
对，
是这样，就是中国本来就是芯片和散热器的制造地，它制造很多5090，这是第一。第二呢，就是虽然中国的大陆是就是国外对中国大陆是禁止销售5090的，但是中国内部并没有禁止5090。然后还有就是中国和深圳和香港很近，他们只有一道海关，很多人他可以从那边，从香港或者是从其他地区、其他国家，比如说美国、日本、新加坡等等地方可以购买，他们可以人肉背回来，就是自己携带回来，这是在中国是不违法的，他们是可以购买的。那当然还有最后一个就是可能会有一些人他为了牟利，他为了赚钱，他会去选择走私的方式，然后通过一些特殊的渠道把这些东西给带回来，是这样子。
Do you think most of the banned GPUs come in one at a time? 你觉得大部分的北京的 GPU 他们一个一个来？
它有很多形式了，就是我们中国有一个特殊的职业叫做黄牛，它可以每天往返多次，它可以每次都带回来，它也可以去组织人，就是大家一起去香港购买，然后赚差价，可能一张卡它会有500人民币到几千人民币不等的这样的一个差价，然后会通过这种手段去外面去购买带回来。那这种行为，严格意义上来说可能是违法的，但是，总是有操作的空间吧，应该这样解释。然后它可以组织不同的人去从我们深圳到香港，或者是到其他的国家地区，然后购买回来。当然了，这里面还会有一些其他的渠道，比如说，留学生。它也有可能也可以带回来的。这个东西其实我们中国国内对5090并不禁止。几个月前， 背一张5090从外面背回来的话，可以赚到差不多2000到5000人民币的一个差价，可以赚这么多的钱。那最夸张的时候，一张5090就是在今年春节刚刚发售的时候，我们可以赚到，就是比如说我们从海外带一张回来，可以赚到1万人民币。所以对，所以就是它的利
，5090吗？
对，一张就可以赚到1万人民币。所以很多人都会觉得，我如果出国有这个机会，就一定会额外买一张回来。那中国的5090只有从5月份、6月份开始，它的价格才在下跌。那现在的话呢，它距离 MSRP 还是有一定的差距的。它现在还是卖到，就是一些 AIC 的一些次旗舰型号，还是要卖到22000元到25000元左右。所以它还是有一定的利润空间的。所以就是因为中国有一句古话嘛，叫做天下熙熙皆为利来，天下攘攘皆为利往，就是大家都肯定还是最主要的目的就是有利润可以赚的。然后还有一个点就是，刚才忘记跟你补充了，就是很多5090它其实是中国就是 Made in China， 它其实就是本土制造的，所以有一些品牌方它为了去处理这些芯片，为了不去走很长几个月的海运，快速回笼资金，因为我们知道从中国到美国如果要走海运的话，可能要1个月2个月，很浪费时间。但是它如果在中国本土销售的话，本土消化的话，它会很快就可以被这里就可以转化掉，就可以卖掉，所以它没有资金压力，它就会选择在中国就地就解决了。
It seems a little bit weird that these products are made in China. They're made here, but technically they're not allowed to be sold to here. 所以好像有一点奇怪，因为中国的工厂做这种产品，
对，
就是他们正确的说不
让卖，对，是的。
所以你觉得？
这个问题就要涉及到政治了。政治的话，我们不好评价。但是我觉得
，So essentially, China is the leading manufacturer for thermal solutions, but once you get into politics, it's just something where you don't have much control.
Right.
And given the entire global political
situation,
yeah, it's just. This is not a surprise anymore. So
right.
Even though on a logic standpoint it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's politics.
Do you think NVIDIA knows about this? 你觉得NVIDIA 知道这个？
当然知道呀，这个是当然知道的，但是就是它是怎么说呢？睁一只眼闭一只眼。
It's like you turn a blind eye.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just turning a blind eye.
因为中国是一个很大的消费市场，太多的钱了。
Okay.
It's too much money to be made, so they're not going to address it directly or acknowledge it, but they know what's going on.
Do you think NVIDIA would want to stop it?
不会。
No.
不会。
Okay, cool. 最后一个问题是，如果我们的 viewers 要找到你的哔哩哔哩，他们应该去哪里 ？Where should they go to find his channel？
去找到你的品质。
哔哩哔哩搜51972就可以了。51972。
谢谢。
This was an interesting conversation. First of all, I learned a new idiom. Secondly, we turned it into a t-shirt. So if you're liking this content so far, please take this brief intermission to head over to store.gamersnexus.net and grab our Blind Eye t-shirt to directly support this content if you like it. Long-form content is hard to do on YouTube, and we can do it because of your support. We try to make some pretty damn cool stuff to get you something useful in return as well. And if you're watching this sometime close to when we publish, we've still got the digital reward tiers available for our backer tiers for this project. We really want to produce more stuff like this, but from our point of view, we need to earn that. If you think we have, head over to store.gamersnexus.net and grab one of our new Blind Eye t-shirts, Black Market sticker packs, GPU VRAM glassware, or even our GPU Shredder t-shirt for the paper launch. Thanks to the intermission, let's get back to it. Up next, Shenzhen. Our first stop will be in Shenzhen Bao'an to meet with a trading company that sits between Hong Kong and Shenzhen warehouses. They're the trading company's trading company, and we're buying an RTX 5090 from them. If they exist, hopefully. Shenzhen was a fishing village just 40 years ago. Now, it's one of the most technologically advanced cities on Earth, and it's grown unbelievably fast. Shenzhen got growth from pushing farming and fishing out and bringing factories in. Now, it's even starting to push some of the factories into the outskirts. Shenzhen has some extreme cyberpunk vibes with its mix of technology and surveillance. It has packed tech markets in Huaqiangbei, including some of the weirdest computer parts we've ever seen in our prior visits. There are entire buildings dedicated only to small phone repair shops with their own kiosks. Another building dedicated to a mix of computer hardware, gaming, and miscellaneous components. More still, for just integrated circuits, literally an entire building where people pretty much only sell things like capacitors and MOSFETs. And all of these places have people who know people. That's their job. Shenzhen's technological rise comes with it an uncomfortable omnipresence of CCTV and facial recognition, which feels more fitting today than ever before, now that we know worldwide government facial recognition is a big user of AI GPUs. We started the day by meeting up with our translator for the next 2 days, Raymond, who's helped us on factory tours for years. Because Uber doesn't work in China, since it uses the Google Maps API and Google is blocked by the firewall, Raymond was also our man with the locally compatible apps to get us places. This became especially important now that even cash is becoming less acceptable by some cafes and restaurants. Everyone's moved to paying with the WeChat app. With our ride booked, we're off to see if the wired funds turn into a GPU.
对吗？
好，谢谢。这个吗？对对，好好。
We're gonna go meet our GPU supplier.
These guys seemed to understand that we're media and we wanted to film, but we weren't 100% sure, so we walked in with the cameras off, and once we established that, we proceeded.
Like, would one of them want to talk with me about just buying and selling GPUs? Or
yeah, 可以，就是 can't show their face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And our company name.
Oh, okay. So you don't want.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can talk about it, but don't show face or name, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Face or name or company.
Okay, but talking about it's fine.
Talk about it is fine. Yeah.
Okay. This is the card, I guess. This is the one that.
Yes.
That I bought. Okay. Can we record this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's do that. 是新的吗？
Yes.
Cool. From the Hong Kong warehouse. What's the most common GPU your customers buy?
H800啊
H200
对 H800 然后 A800这种
A800
然后5090D 然后5090DD 准备要出来，常见的型号就是这里。
已经有那个 Blackwell 吗？GB 对 GB 100 GB 200。
听说过，GB 就是
还没有吗？
没有。
Okay. How popular are like 5090, 58 or 5090, 5090 class cards versus the AI H100, H200?
就是那个卖的比较好啊，5090。
游戏香港
5090D 卖的好一点，我们主要是卖5090D，因为这个美国限制。
这其实老实讲，5090
很少出了，
很少出。
对。
I heard the 5090D is like NVIDIA stopped making it. 听说他们的5090DV2对吧？
对对，然后要再
很奇怪，
对，要5090D 也不供了，以前是供给我们5090D 嘛，
对，
现在也准备不供了，然后说要再继续阉割一下，变成5090DD， 对 ，Double D， 我也觉得很奇怪。
You sent me the RTX 6000 6000的，就是在这里还没有对吧？在香港。
对，在香港。
这那是你第一个
RTX 6000的吗？不是，那个是在那个香港的这个总代手上，就没在我们的库房。Okay, they have it in the Steam.
You basically buy the GPUs from a distributor.
You mean the agent?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, everything is really SD.
Yeah. RTX 6000, 这是我们的视频。
96 GB, right?
Yeah, 96. Yeah.
What's the price in your country?
大概呀，差不多。
哦，差不多。
Yeah.
那你们买回去需要交税不 ？Do you need to pay the tax fee for?
Yeah.
加上税就是大概$9000。那还是蛮高的。
So I guess is the most common user like AI companies, robotics companies?
They don't really sell to end users, more like trading companies. 都是贸易商。
对，所以我本身就非常好奇，我说，哎，为什么？你们是贸易商吗？是怎么会美国贸易商过来买这东西
They don't usually get this type of inquiry, like single.
Yeah, single.
Purchase.
We had talked about GPUs for like 40 minutes at this point. I guess they got bored and they started asking us questions, but we'll just include it because it's kind of a fun culture exchange.
你们是从美国哪个地方哪个州过来？
听说过北卡州吗？啊，北卡罗纳。
知道。
北卡没听过。
北卡有个大学。
Michael Jordan。
对，打篮球的。
对，北卡是在东部。
对，东部。对。
你的中文为什么这么好？
因为我喜欢学中文。Does anyone buy AMD AI GPUs or AMD like go high end?
很少 ，AMD 其实老实说 ，AMD 的显卡都很少有
MI
用。二手的以前有出过，但是新的高端的很少。
因为没有 CUDA 嘛。
对，没有客户喜欢。
CUDA 知道吗
？CUDA C-U-D-A。
对，因为 AMD 没有，所以。
对。
Intern
的更少。
它有那个新的 B60 B60 Pro。新的，
我们都没听说过，
没有人要的吗？
但它性能怎么样？它两个核心性能怎么样？
它的 performance。
看情况。
中国卖过去了吗？
没有那个
限制，没有限制，没有。
There's no restriction.
Correct. Yeah. 没有北京的。
但是我没用过。
They said that NVIDIA sells them to distributors, I guess, and then they get distributed into here. Okay. Do you think NVIDIA knows about people buying and selling the banned GPUs in China? Like, are they aware of that? Do they try to stop it?
对，就是他是这样，可能就像睁一只眼闭一只眼，他知道是有卖，但是他明面上他会讲不要卖。
They know, but they're
like, you guys can sell it, but
we don't want to know about
it. We don't want to. Like 睁一只眼闭一只眼。
Funny, I wonder how many people they see walk out just with a GPU. They definitely shared more than I thought they would.
Okay.
So that was good.
That's good.
But yeah, I think it also connects the pieces really well with the professor we spoke to.
Okay.
Because that guy, he shared like everything he knew. Yeah, I guess now we probably could just go basically back to Huaqiangbei is a little bit north of that. So our next stop is 10 minutes away from the hotel.
Okay.
It's a pretty far ride back. The next one is even more unknown. If they'll talk to us.
Because you didn't buy anything from them.
I didn't buy anything. And I didn't offer either. And I explained the whole situation. Just replied to every single message with okay. except for the address. He said, I'm not sure what to talk about, but I can try.
Okay.
Which is like maybe a good sign.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Hard to judge, right? Until you see him.
Yeah. So, we'll try that. I guess we can keep the camera out in the car, and then we'll just probably DD back. You wanna try it?
Yeah, I'll try it.
We're not 100% sure where we're going, but we'll get there. So I think our biggest takeaway is these GPUs are banned for sale into China, and I just walked into an office and bought one. So the efficacy of the ban is maybe questionable. This still tracks with what Dr. Vinci was telling us, which is that it appears to be the difficulty comes from buying lots and lots of them. But even the people we just bought this from, they're like, yeah, I mean, if you want more, just ask and we'll figure it out. So the whole concept of this is a thing you cannot own or purchase in China, it really just doesn't appear to be as strictly true or simple as we might otherwise think from the surface of an export control or a ban. You'd think you just can't get it. That's not the case. You can get it, and it's not even that much more expensive than what I would have paid in the US. In fact, their RTX 6000 Pros are the same price, actually cheaper after taxes in the US if you buy it here, and that's also export controlled. So that's our that was our adventure getting a GPU. Move on to the next one.
The most important thing we learned here was where to go next. Just like the ants moving the GPUs piece by piece, we'll have to collect our information piece by piece. Recapping the parts of the hour-long conversation more efficiently and in one language, the company said that some cards have become more difficult to get, but they can still get them. And more expensive or not, it is the reason that their job exists. The fact that they texted me a photo of the brand new, at the time, RTX 6000 Pro Blackwell card, the very same one that we just bought for $8,500 in the US and that was hard to get at home, shows that this company and their distributor are resourceful. Their price is $8,600 US, which is actually cheaper when factoring in US taxes and shipping. So the ban isn't stopping them, and the 6000 Pro is a serious AI card with 96 gigabytes of memory. It's banned, and it is definitely in demand as well. This company isn't used to a single GPU sale like ours today. It mostly transacts with other trading companies in high volume. They interface with a Hong Kong distributor to bring the cards into Shenzhen, moving it across one more border, another ant in the chain. That meant they could connect us with their distributor, which would be familiar, we were told, with where we could find smugglers to talk to. But this company itself neither knew many smugglers directly, nor knew many end users, and that's okay, because each link in this chain will get us one ant closer to the information we need. So we took note of their information on the distributor and the smuggling side to use when we got back home. Seems like a conversation to not start until after US Customs, and then they helped point us toward our next stop. Up next, Huaqiangbei. We hopped in a car and drove 40 minutes to meet up with a GPU trader we found in Shenzhen. Huaqiangbei is home to the world-famous SEGE market, or SEIGA, where we found some of the strangest computer parts we've ever seen in past videos. Huaqiangbei has the highest concentration of technology and integrated circuits and electronics in the world, with a never-ending maze of multiple disconnected, multi-story malls specializing in all electronics. If your life depended on getting a complete product made in a single city block, Shenzhen Huaqiangbei is your best bet. Fortunately, this time we'll be with this guy. This is Vincent. His profile picture on a messaging app is Van Gogh, so he has a sense of humor. This guy wheels and deals with dozens of GPU trading companies near the bustling Huaqiangbei Plaza. He has a reputation around here for being the smooth talker.
我还没有这勇气做大波浪呢。
你做大波浪更好看。
哦，显老哎。
不显老，你还年轻呢。
Our first impression was that this guy knows people, and they already know him. And that's what we need. Vincent generally seems to have an attitude of getting shit done. But before we met him in person, we had some concerns going into this that it would be fruitless, or that no one would even be there to meet us. Alright, so second location to try and talk about GPUs for this one. No idea how this is going to go. I've been talking with the seller back and forth for a couple weeks, and every single response is 2 letters. Okay. And so I don't know what that means. Raymond is going to try and explain the concept.
Okay.
See what I do. Okay, let's go.
It looks like the right place is like a lot of tech companies.
Yeah. We had a lot of trouble finding our guy, but fortunately, it wasn't long before he found us.
你好，你现在直接下来的话，我2-3分钟就过来了。
先下。
She had 210.
Yeah.
哎，你好。
你好。
你叫什么？
陈乐 ，Vincent。
Vincent。Okay.
啊，所以你有在卖这个 ？He's pretty open about it.
Okay,
Yeah,
well.
whatever he knows.
啊，谢谢。
没事，但是你说要说英文，我的英文又不标准啊。
你会说英文吗？
英文说不标准的，
没关系啊。
不很一般。
在哪里学英文？在。
我就跟客户正常就贸易学的那几句，你钱给我货给你那种啊。Money pay me and give you goods like this.
Is it difficult to get the GPUs?
货源基本上市场很多啊，就是赛格就很多了。
你这里就很多。
是赛格，前面赛格市场。
哦，赛格市场 ，OK。
对。
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff inventory.
At SCG. So does he like just buy and sell? Is he a trading company? I guess.
Yeah, he's a trading company.
Trading company. Yeah,
okay.
贸易公司对。
So mostly from yeah. How do the GPUs normally get here? Like what's the process normally for them to actually? Because 因为这个 high-end GPU high-end 怎么说？
高规的比较
高规，所以高规的 GPU 现在是美国北京的对吧？
对。
所以他们怎么
正常
进来中国？
进来中国正常也是通过香港就进来了。
通过什么？
香港啊。
香港。
香港。
从香港。
台湾也有啊，台湾人也往这边卖啊，一样。
所以台湾跟香港，然后他们one by one 一个。
他是怎么进来？一个一个这样子，还是一个柜，还是一箱呢？
一个啊。
一个一个。
啊，就是你买一个，你顺便就你这样在香港买，然后带回来也行啊。
这样子哦。
对，一样啊。
这样子够吗？
那只能慢慢搬哦，人多，大陆人多吧。
Oh, they do it piece by piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
所以如果客人要很多，
基本上那就是也只能香港交咯。
From Hong Kong.
Yeah. Is there any consequence for bringing them in?
就看你什么显卡了。如果是它那种静止的，是不是？
是。
静止的上基本上国内也没有，这个你只能去通过国外去买，国外的渠道去买。但是说国内的基本上就5090这些通用的这些就有嘛。这些就工厂啊，他们都自己出货，那正常在销售的东西就是存在的。而且你说那些高端的什么服务器啊那一类，那你只能去国外买。
OK。
这国内也没有。
Does China care? Does Hong Kong care?
会有一些罚款或是禁止令或是什么？
中国政府在乎吗？不在乎。
这个本来中国政府是跟中国政府没什么事的，禁止是美国禁止嘛。是英伟达他们不能再往这边销售而已啊。
So like in China it's not like a real restriction, right? It's more from the U.S. side.
Right.
Yeah. So
5090是有禁止吗？是有禁止还是没有？我都忘记了。
是禁止的。
禁止，但是市场上确实是有啊。
But yeah, everything he says you can buy from the shops.
等一下，你也可以去帅哥拍一下，就有帅哥就有啊。各自就是每个人个人的渠道我们就不知道，但正常我们可能就从香港买一点啊，比较近嘛，就这样。
Yeah, like he doesn't exactly know where, but like Hong Kong is like the most closest and most common.
Yeah.
It's easiest to
bring
it in.
What's the normal like order amount? Like how many cards does a company normally buy?
平均买的卡通常是买几张？
正常像我们就很小啊，我们可能1-2张而已。
1-2张。1 or 2. Single units.
最常要的是哪个 ？Like 比如说 A。
没有，我们这边可能畅销的可能就4090， 稍微还可以，其他的就像5090太贵了，没人要。
拿到货，
所有的都是北京的。
这些就基本上4090就是比较常见的嘛，像 B100、200这些都没见过的。就是没有H20啊这些都看不到，没见过的。正常就是4090、5090这种就正常，就是这种游戏卡就基本上能看到。就其实它可能就是A100的那个减版，就是有些功能被它减了嘛。
是。
就是像我们汽车一样，本身你那个就说本田一样，在美国就它卖3.5升，到中国就卖2升嘛。这个道理。排量那个，它这种东西的话是政策问题，所以我们做生意的也没办法去讨论这个政策问题，是吧？他们怎么那些什么原因呢？我们也不清楚，那只能说对于我们来说就简单，那市场贸易就是有什么货可以卖我们就卖什么，不能卖我们也没货。
这是你自己的公司吗？
对。
OK。所以你多久做哪种工作？你做这个工作多久了？
做这个工作就10来年了吧？
听得懂我的不好的中文吗？
没事，10来年了吧
？18年。
10多年。
10多年。
10多
年。
OK。
你应该
就是好喝。
它简单，北卡我知道，好像是北卡有个大学很出名，出很多球星是吧？
是啊，你看篮球。
Michael Jordan。
北卡好像。
Does he need to make any trips to SEG to buy stuff that we could potentially go with him for? You know what I mean? Like if he has any need to go to Saiga to buy stuff, would he be interested in us following him to accompany him?
Yeah.
If you could find a soft way to present that, I guess.
可以啊，可以啊，你 go with them。
我们带你市场逛逛，这个很简单。
Okay.
Okay, I guess if we see like some of his favorite spots or spots he thinks are the most interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
OK. 可以啊，感谢。那我们过去啊。
Is it walking distance, do you know?
Yeah.
Oh, is it really? Oh.
对自媒体，我们也是有兴趣，只是说不懂这一类，正好接触一下就。
有兴趣是你自己想的？
我自己有，那就是好奇闹着玩的那种。因为自媒体它这种。
Vincent led us over to various large wholesale and consumer retail markets. His office is about 10 minutes away from SEG E-Market, which is his daily haunt. There's one peculiar detail in all of this. Vincent has customers both in and outside of China, but his foreign customer base is relatively high. He mostly deals in RTX 4090s, which seems to be a trend, as you'll see with our smuggler contact at the end of this. That means Vincent is buying 4090s that either never left China, but were supposed to, or were likely illegally exported to China, which would mean he is then re-exporting them to his foreign customers. It's like an infinite loop. He's an interesting guy. He talked about multiple business ventures in Uganda and Kenya.
He said he went to Kenya before. 对吧？
肯尼亚、乌干达、东非
，Uganda，
就东非5国那里。
Uganda 为什么要去？
以前是想去那里做生意的，去卖那个内衣的。
He said he had a business there before.
想去还是
去考察了？
去考察。He wanted to go there and start a business there. So he was like looking around and see if there's any opportunity. 然后后来为什么没去？
那边的人太穷了，消费根本是消费不起。
He's like the people couldn't afford it. Like the things that he wanted to sell was out of the market range.
Okay. Too expensive for the locals.
Yeah.
反正你现在去家里有没有人？
我们现在还有一个老乡在肯尼亚开牛肉店的。
牛肉店。
火锅，牛肉火锅。
火锅。
He used to work as a shopkeeper in the mall itself and would interface with factories or anyone else who wandered in.
Just talking about his business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Just set up a business and start running a company like his.
Right.
So low cost, and then it's like also like very scattered.
以前都是做市场做柜台，跟他们那种一样。
He used to own a shop in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
这边是卖电子的 IC 的这边就是卖手机配件的。
所以这边是 IC 的这边是。
Hello。
哎呦。
在市场。
你觉得他们在乎我们拍吗？
应该不会。
OK。
不可以拍是吧
？OK。
那就不拍，就是让他不拍就好。我们逛过去就好，不拍。
OK， 好。
那关掉。
You can put it down to the side.
Did they let you do it last time?
We snuck around them
last
time. Yeah, we looked for them, then we went around them.
Oh, wow.
These days, he's closed shop and is a buyer instead. He mostly takes orders online, doesn't keep much inventory, and just walks across the street when an order comes in that day. It's basically like a concierge GPU pickup service.
卖显卡
4090D 4090
卖显卡的。
所以你有客人想要这种 GPU 的时候，你来这里
对
买的吗？
对
他们给你特色的价格吗？
都差不多市场价。
Okay.
Because you can just come here and pick up your stuff, and then once you get an order and just, once you get the order online, then you pick up the stuff here and sell it. So he doesn't have to actually put down any of his own money to keep stock.
Okay. This I think I've been to before.
这是帅哥嘛，卖笔记本啊，卖电脑啊，
另外一层就是显卡
guard， turn it down。所以你在这里有最喜欢的商店吗？
我就以前矿机的商店基本上都矿机 BT miner。BTC miner.
BTC miner. Okay.
Mining.
Vincent did what we soon learned he does best, which is connect us with people. He brought us to a friend of his who sells Bitcoin mining hardware and GPUs.
他们这种是做自媒体的，不是现在跟他们搞试试看的，他们那老外玩自媒体怎么玩。
Hello。
你好。
英文讲那么好？
没有啊。你有5090吗？5090有吗？就是好奇经常多少钱？This is where we learned the relationship. She thought he was bringing us here as customers, so she didn't want to share his cost with us. She said it's up to him to tell us what the price is, and then she'll tell him the cost.
我等一下我发给他。
你直接跟他说是没事的。
我看一下帅哥的。
Okay.
Yeah, A1000.
What?
A1000.
现货多少钱
？Where's that?
Right here.
Hello， 微星19800。
19800。
微星的。
19,800.
That's not bad, honestly. Like that's pretty close to U.S. pricing. 2,600. The average price for 5090 right now in the U.S. is $3,054. It's actually like cheaper than average. But
that's what the other guy was saying, or like the prices is like so similar.
谢谢。
所以跟老外搞一下自媒体，看能不能宣传一下，帮你宣传一下，把美女拍漂亮一点。
国外的是吗？
啊，拍漂亮一点。帅哥的什么花？
上天叫什么名字？我看不懂中文字。
银创。YC
miner。BTC 的 miner。OK。
中文讲的还挺好的。他们也有做矿机吗？
他们是做自媒体的。
Like with other interviews, we learned that people rarely want AMD and basically nobody wants Intel.
华兴，什么显卡最好卖呀？5060吧。
AMD 呢？
AMD 的话， 想一下
，Intel 嘛，Intel。
680占比不大。
把它拍帅一点啊！去美国打个美国妞。
好，谢谢，
谢谢。
Is she one of his suppliers? Do you know?
She's like he does what he does. They're very similar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He knows her, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he started off as like doing mining machines, so she's still doing it.
We told Vincent that we were getting ready to travel 6 hours north to check out a GPU repair shop that buys small components for not only repairing broken video cards to keep them in service, especially the expensive banned ones, but also modifying and building new video cards that NVIDIA doesn't make. He said he had an idea for us.
IC 的市场，IC 也没啥好，
没什么好看。He's like nothing special, but we can go check it out.
Yeah.
就保安嘛，
保安。
Protect peace. 保安，安静的安。
Yes.
保护的保安 ，protect peace.
Protect peace.
That's my translation. I don't know if it's right.
It is exactly.
这里也是 IC 嘛，就是一些
Okay.
配件啊。
That's like finished goods, and this is like pre-assembled.
Okay.
This is it.
Cool. Wow.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
The ceiling just says New Asian. I don't think I've ever been in here before. This is cool.
Yeah?
Yeah. MLCCs, capacitors. You find those on GPUs everywhere. SMD, service mount device, DIP. Wow.
準備回撈而家冇咗呢，人家拍宣傳片而已。是坐，沒事的。
你是他的客人嗎？
他我堂弟。
你好，你在這裡
賣什麼？
做这个
IC 嗎？
哎 IC
哪種？
大部分都有。
OK， cool。
啊，你中文说的这么好。
哎呀，謝謝。在這裡工作多久了？
在这里？
對，在這裡
有10多年了。
Okay, cool.
在这个地方。
So he's their relatives?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
堂弟 is one kind of relative.
所
以堂弟是你爸爸那边的。
我爺爺的爸爸的兄弟。
你爺爺的爸爸的兄弟。
對。
No, they start selling on like across different platforms. Like so, it's more like e-commerce.
Okay. Do they sell on Alibaba also?
也不是。
所以都有阿里巴巴、
都有
淘宝、
淘宝、速卖通。
要不要试一下？
我不会抽烟。你抽。
但真正的说采购是工厂。
工厂。
加工厂也有啊，代工厂也有。
所以你的客人就是不会那么散，就是你如果是工厂跟你下单的话。
我的客人是比较散。
比较散。
哎，我的客人比较散，因为我什么客都有。
因为你是在各平台，
像这些都是集中一个地方给他们采购的。
哈，
你明白吗？肯定好像不是很明白的样子。我这里是集中这个地方给他们去。
这市场啊，这
市场。哎，兄弟。
谢谢。
You know, 兄弟 means.
No.
Brother.
It's like brother. Yeah.
兄弟。
以前咪俾卡嘅。
This is like a central place for a lot of factories to come buy stuff.
Okay.
So, like, you know, all the vendor suppliers are here, so they just come here and grab this from this guy, grab this from this other store.
工厂啊，主要是工厂。
工厂 factories.
然后零售、维修啊。
Repair shops.
维修的。
工厂的，比如说 SMT 的吗 ？SMT 知道吗
？SMT。
SMT 唔是啦嚇，促成做咗咩啊？做咩㗎？你唔是貼上清喎？
哦，貼上清，貼片廠。
我 try。
Yeah, everything is sold online.
Yeah.
所以你
会过来看一下。
对，但是对啊，就是如果网络下单，为什么要过来这边呢？
那你肯定要过来看一下。
你看一下你。
这是有没有接见店那样子吗？
嗯，实体店啊，或者说你这个环境怎么样？
哦。
都可以。
所以他问我主要做什么，我什么都有，什么都有接触，明白这意思吗？所以我不是说主要做一个品牌一个东西，
我知道，就是
因为他 IC 这种
还是太多
杂了，太多了。
你喜欢你的工作吗？
我喜欢我的工作吗？这是我肯定喜欢。
放心啊，中国人90%以上都喜欢，我估计80%、98%以上都是喜欢他的工作，只要他能为他挣钱了。
对，有挣钱就喜欢，
有赚钱就喜欢，不赚钱就不喜欢。
不赚钱就换掉嘛，
就是不赚钱太累。
What's he saying?
So as long as they make money, they will like it. If they don't make money, then look for something else.
所以呢，中国人的思想跟那外国的思想完全不一样。我们是根据我们挣钱去为了生存而去干，他们是为了他们兴趣去干嘛，是不是
So he's saying it's like Chinese are different from
Chinese is like it's more practical.
Vincent's cousin connected a missing link for us. People like him selling FETs, inductors, capacitors, resistors, MLCCs, and so on for repair shops can help to supply the parts needed for upfit or modifications. For GPUs, someone doing this kind of work but specializing in video cards might source additional VRAM, for example. He told us about how 5090s are easy to get because the local factories supply them, matching Mr. Five's comments earlier. Some of the sellers here told us that they're capable of sourcing devices like A800s or even A100s. They just didn't have them on site. They have them in a more secure spot. That's because there's a separate area for the warehousing. Unfortunately, we learned where they are from our new friends in SEG. Like every other link in this chain, we're getting closer to understanding the full story with each person who pours some tea for us.
Yeah.
感谢，太感谢了。
没有，
非常感谢。
这个才有空来喝茶才好。最喜欢聊天。
Why do you say cool?
He likes chatting or hanging out.
对，
因为跟不同文化的人交流一下，可以接触到不同的那个，像一些文化方面的交流。
He's like they enjoy chatting with like different types of people, like just to learn from different culture, and they really enjoy that. So
we agree, but it was time to head back because tomorrow we had a morning to kill. We wanted to find those warehouses to figure out how many GPUs there are. It seems like the right area. You can like breathe hot air on it and it'll help equalize it. We only had a couple hours before our high-speed rail appointment. SEG's guards have never been particularly friendly towards filming to begin with, but ultimately, they're not police. The worst that happens is we get asked to leave. Besides, there weren't any signs saying we couldn't be there. I mean, I can't read Chinese, but I assume there were. Great elevator looks promising for the warehouses.
Yeah.
distributor.
What you were thinking?
I was thinking of like racks and racks.
I
Imagine that.
I think we got our GPUs left and these cartons. If they don't have it, they come here and they buy it from these warehouses which are on the upper floors in the building. They just have a carton. There's like probably a dozen tall and about the same deep cartons where each one should have 5 or 6 cards in it. And then all those feed into Saiga and they get distributed to the Alibaba sellers like Vincent and then get sent out from there. So it's a lot of GPUs. Not all of them are banned, but I did see a couple 5090s. So.
Motherboard. Yeah, motherboard. Yeah, I just didn't expect this. It was this like kind of secretive. Yeah. A little bit more mysterious.
No lights.
No.
The perspective is amusing. From the perspective of the United States, this floor is filled with highly illegal items. They didn't have export licenses. From the perspective of people working here, this is just their job. It's not shady. It's not some subterranean refuge of firearms. It's just a poorly lit warehouse, like any number of other warehouses around the world. But the perspective of the American government here would be different from people working here. They just want to sell these things and go home. On the other hand, from the perspective of the people working here, we're the shady ones. Walking around filming and specifically trying to not draw attention is not normal.
We're just noticing how nobody cares that we're here. Nobody gives a shit.
And that is called foreshadowing.
It's all individual companies, all these doors are different warehouses. Should we go up to floor 6?
6? Let's see what you got.
The feebleness electricity well.
No idea.
There's a couple of GPU cartons in there too.
It was around here that we were asked to stop recording, so we didn't capture what they said, but it was "Ganshama, what are you doing?" Raymond smooth talked our way out of it. We gave our buhauises, and we called it the successful shoot.
What did this say?
They're like, you can't record in here. It's not like you have to get permission to record here. So yeah. we're just documenting what we're seeing, just for fun.
Travel vlog.
Yeah, travel vlog.
Travel vlog. Yeah.
闪一下，对。
Raymond, we got kicked out.
Yes, we did.
You did your best to smooth talk them.
Yeah, we just told them that we're just documenting the vlog and walking around. Yeah, they didn't really care. Like, they just kind of wanted to make sure that, you know, nothing crazy was going on.
Because they didn't like escort us out. They just walked away.
No, they were like, oh yeah, okay, no worries, and then they walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were nice about it. They knew we weren't really doing anything.
We've learned a lot about the GPUs, and now we're back out into Shenzhen outside of Saiga Market, a couple other places. So next up, we're going to go to Zhengzhou and meet with a repair shop who builds custom 48 gigabyte GPUs. So we'll do that next. Up next, Zhengzhou. We regrouped with Raymond and left Shenzhen, and we headed to the biggest train station any of us had ever been in, Shenzhenbei, which is a high-speed rail station. For the journey ahead, we had a 5-hour, 50-minute, extremely comfortable high-speed rail ride up to Zhengzhou. The train goes several hundred kilometers per hour, which is good because we had to travel somewhere around 1,700 kilometers to get to where we were going. This ended up taking about the same time as a flight would have taken with all the airports factored in. But the reason we were doing this day trip was to visit Zhang Ge's repair shop, or Brother John's repair shop. He is famous for repair on Bilibili. His independent repair shop has some Rossmann-like vibes in some ways. He's got video cards all over the place, spare parts everywhere. He saves everything that he can salvage and then rips the good components off of the boards to reuse them for other ones. But Zhang Ge is an interesting guy in this chain because he's not directly part of the GPU black market. What he does is fix video cards. He does that for consumers and for companies. Sometimes that means people want him to modify video cards to double the VRAM, for example. That's where it starts getting into the territory that's interesting for our movie today. So we're in Zhengzhou. It's about 6 a.m. scorching hot. It's about 30 degrees Celsius already.
and just got breakfast. Now we're going to see our repair shop guy, check out the 48 gigabyte GPUs and see what he knows about the AI GPUs and how they get in. It's real fucking hot. We're just walking on the road to get the car. This is how you do it here. Or at least this is how Raymond does it here. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it. Okay. All right, so we are at John's repair shop. He's up there right now working on GPUs. You can see him in the blue vest. We get a pan up there. So we're gonna go in and work with them on counterfeit GPUs and 48 gig 4090s.
Hey,
你好。我是私立方。你好。这是 Tan。
啊，你好，你好。
这是 Raymond。
你好，你好。
翻译一个。好。
这个东西先从这里吧，好吧？
好，可以，
先这里。
OK。
对。
OK， 好。
我们这边是测试的平台
啊，
就是说客人修好的显卡全部要在这里压力测试2天到3天左右。啊，
你们一天多少显卡测试？
一天我们大概最少要50张吧，50张最少。
50。
对对对。
OK， 这么多。
对，像这种4090
啊，
像这种5090
啊，
是吧？这都是在排队测试的。像这种公版的5090，它不是很常见，在我们国内可能卖的并不是很多。
Need help with that?
Okay, so 所以会常见，这个5090会常见吗？
很常见，但是坏的并不是很多。
F1的嘛。
F1。
嗯，对，坏的并不是很多。
Okay, so there's in a way there's some 5090s,
Yeah.
but then because there's not that many, then there's not that many to repair.
Okay, got it. Cool. Cool.
像这里下面这都是要测试的显卡，就是我们修好以后的。
所以大部分的都是 NVIDIA 的吗？NVIDIA 吗？
大部分是，但是有 AMD 的还有。
OK。
都有，一般都是69、68、79，
OK，
还有6700。对，旧的显卡。
OK。
对，都是已经大部分都过保了嘛。
啊，so the older cards.
Yeah, just like past warranty
AMD cards. Yeah. Intel 吗
？Intel 的显卡是吧
？Intel 的显卡呢
？Intel 的显卡
没有啊。
没有。
OK。
本来就少，所以说你无法维修。
Okay, so even if there's not many like Intel cards,
yeah.
And then if they want to repair it, they're unable to repair because they don't have the information or the experience in dealing with that.
Okay, so there's not really any info for the Intel ones.
Not any
okay.
info, yeah. Nice. These are all finished, repaired, ready to go.
Yeah.
So they have all this here, and they're gonna weigh it.
Wow.
And then have everything packed and ready to go.
Cool. Are most of the cards that come in local to Zhengzhou, or are they from like all over China?
从不同城市
会寄过来，然后
对，全国各地。
全国各地。
对对对。
他们怎么知道你啊？他怎么认识你来，然后寄过来？
我是做互联网的嘛，做互联网的，平常像你们一样拍一些视频，他们通过视频了解到的。
然后是透过视频了解到。
对对对。
Okay, yeah, through like his channel.
Through Bilibili,
yeah,
I guess.
Bilibili.
Cool, very cool.
这边的就是维修台，我们的师傅。
OK。
进行维修。像这里电脑都准备好，测试修好的显卡。
然后。
This is cool. This is a schematic, I guess.
对对。有可能只坏一个电阻，可能耗你几天的时间。
Oh, really? Yeah, if it's like short circuit or it's like missing circuit.
Are these?
It takes them a while.
Is it hard to find the schematics, the drawings, I guess you'd say, but. Oh,
yeah, for
okay.
older models, like for the newest ones, and it's usually takes a while to. 4E2.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, schematic.
Okay. Do they ever do GPU swap? 比如说 GPU 坏的，
拆掉。
对，可以。
再找个好的装上去。
在另外一个卡。放的。
可以的。
听得到吗 ？Okay.
比这个简单多了，这个。
Really? That's the easy part.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's a lot easier than doing this. Okay, so this is actually one of their main fixes.
Swapping
the GPU.
Cool.
That's what happens
Okay, cool.
after a long time usage. Right, like so that's one of the things that they have to
Very cool.
face.
We spent another 2 hours touring Zhangge's shop. It's pretty amazing. We actually have a full separate video that we're gonna put together and publish. It's gonna take me forever to translate it. And we'll do that because we hit our stretch goals on the fundraiser for this movie, where we said we'll post a full separate breakout video just of his shop because it's so damn cool. But the real reason we're here for this specific topic today is to see how these cards are modified. Because if there's an export ban on GPUs going to China, then it becomes critical for China to be more self-sufficient on keeping those GPUs that they do manage to get in service. Most of the repairs are more typical things you'd expect of soldering. There's board heaters, soldering irons, surface mount components gathered from suppliers nearby, similar to the one that we saw in Shenzhen, and a lot of test stations. But one thing that's unique to China, and especially to this shop, is the ability to take an existing model video card and completely modify the SKU into something that NVIDIA doesn't even make. NVIDIA is intentionally restrictive with how much RAM it puts on cards. Part of that is to upsell people to more expensive model. Actually, that's pretty much all of it. That's basically why they do it. But at shops like this one, they double the VRAM on some of the cards that come through. It's a fully custom SKU. So we wanted to see if he had one lying around that he could show us, and he did one better than that.
你在这里有48 GB 的4090吗？
我们可以现做。
They can make one right now.
Okay. 对，我们可以现做的。Okay.
Did you want me to make one?
If he feels like it, if it's not too inconvenient.
所以真的可以现做吗？
可以啊。
可以啊。
4090 48 G 的，就是从24 G 就是转变成48 G 的过程。 我可以展示给你们。
He could do the from 24 to 48 gig.
That'd be cool to see
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
很简单的。
可以啊，可以啊。
可以吧？
可以，感谢。可以。
来前进。
So I think we're gonna make a 48 gigabyte 4090 right now. I think that's what's happening.
好，这是我们点开这个 GPU 杠 Z。
4090 24 GB. This is a 24 gigabyte 4090 that's been through a lot of repair steps. So if we zoom in up here, they track the repair history on the card in order. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 repair steps. The board's been through a lot. It originally didn't work at all, and then they had a memory problem. They had some other problems in between here, and now it's actually working. I think that's what that OK is. And so it's functioning now, and you can see it even turns on. So it's a 4090, and it's got all 24 gigabytes detected. But because this board has been through so much, how you call it, like trauma or something from repairs, it's going to be better to harvest the expensive components and put them on a new board, so they don't have to worry about if it's just going to fail again in the future from something else. So I think the next step is maybe going to be to put the extra memory on it to go to 48 gigabytes. So. OK， 好，谢谢。
我简单的给它跑一下测试。
Okay. It's gonna run a quick test.
Yeah, for Mark. 440瓦。
对对。已经到了450瓦。
What's like the success rate of the swap for them?
那你换掉的时候，那个几率高吗？就是
那个
成功率。
成功率能占到99%。
哦 ，OK， 哇。
对，但是就怕那个1%。
Okay, yeah, there's still like a 1% chance.
That's really good though. I mean, yeah, that's impressive.
好，这时候我关掉吧。
Cool.
关掉以后，咱们就把它拆掉。
你所有这些的维修自己学的吗？自己？
对，自学的。
哦 ，cool，OK。
无论有没有修好的显卡，都要找这个东西装起来。
OK。 Protect it.
这个是因为防止有静电。
哦，对。
对，防止有静电。
To protect from static.
对。
Oh, ESD. Okay. So it's protecting it from static electricity with the cover on the PCIe slot. And now we're going to go into the lab. So this is the repair lab with stacks upon stacks of GPUs. They test about 50 a day here. Because NVIDIA doesn't make a 48 gig 4090, the repair shop has to source its own PCB. It needs something that has enough pads for all the memory modules they're adding to it. They work with a third-party supplier that builds a PCB, uses an SMT line to place all the VRM components, and has the extra wiring, circuitry, and pads to support 48 gigabytes of memory. That's what you're looking at here. It's a custom board just for this. Cool.
这个就是18G 的 PCB。这拿着这个就拆一下吧。这。
So I think they're going to disassemble it now. They're just showing us the PCB. It's made custom. He said you just buy it from shops. They all have it, and he was saying they're very common here. So first is disassembly. This is going to take apart the old card. So what did he say? Sometimes people buy like 10 or 20 at a time or something?
He gets a 10 or 20 orders at a time.
And then that was like numbers or model?
Yeah, for AI.
Yeah.
Running like language, running models or whatever they're doing.
Does NVIDIA care? Does he think NVIDIA cares that people... Because this isn't an official SKU.
Right.
Not that he should do, he has no reason to care, but...
Yeah. 那个原厂啊 ，NVIDIA 他们啊，就是他但是也不会说，哎，你们不要这样子啊，就是。
应该不会吧？
应该不会。应该不
They
会。
can't do anything anyway.
And it's aftermarket.
Yeah.
It's kind of like sweeping up your car.
Right. Sometimes NVIDIA blocks stuff.
Okay.
Like they'll do something in the firmware of the BIOS to specifically try and like block a modification. How long does this step normally take? 这个常常需要大概多久了
？5分钟。
只有
对，5分钟就可以做了。
比较快。So you're going to heat it up right now to 260 degrees Celsius. This is really similar to what we saw with EVGA. And just blasting the GPU with heat. Takes about 5 minutes, and then he'll be able to pull the steaming GPU off. All right, so now he's pulling the GPU. It's going to happen really fast. He puts it on just a metal stand.
So 咱们去取这些显存的时候都用到了。
所以 memory. So now they're using a board heater. As you can see that there's a temperature reading on the front, currently at 133 Celsius. It's going to heat the board, and then he's going to use the hot air station, which is up and right underneath a benchtop power supply. So that hot air station will be used to heat pinpointed memory modules and remove them without risking damage to other components on the board. And so this is what Louis Rossmann was talking about in our video about tariffs previously, the thing he sells, similar. So they keep the original memory modules, so he's going to pull these and keep them. And then they also have new modules they bought, sounds like just from Taobao basically, it's a retailer here. And they're going to add those to the board, so they can double the memory capacity. Cool. 它很快，比较快的。Wow. So the board heater's at 320 degrees, and the hot air station's at 396 degrees Celsius.
好了，这第一道工序就完成了。
完成。
接下来我们就把这显存核心给重做一下，放新的球。
This part is done.
Okay. So right now they have this template for the solder balls. So this guy is he's cleaning it, looks like with mostly rubbing alcohol. That's a cool dispenser. So he's wipes it down. He's gonna pour solder balls into the template
and then use that to position it on top of the memory modules. They do 8 at a time, and that'll allow them to bake the new solder balls onto the memory modules, which they can then attach to the PCB. So you can see it's actually sized for the memory modules. Looks like now he's already applied flux, and he's just wetting the solder balls. Okay, so now he's using a wick. So this is a solder wick. It's just a piece of copper that basically pulls off the excess solder, so he's running that over the surface. What do 48 gigabyte cards normally cost? Like, what do they normally sell for?
如果是48GB 的卡，通常卖多少？这样子？
应该是2万多人民币。
2万多。
2万多人民币。
20,000
plus.
2,800 US. That's not bad actually. 19对吧？
The soldering ball?
Yeah.
刚刚那个叫什么？那个什么球？
这是气球。
气球。
气球。
对。它这个其实也叫漏网，就把它球漏到刚才咱们拖在那个上面。
Okay. So it's kind of like what we call it. It's kind of have everything kind of filtered through.
Right.
现在还是有一点温度吗？还是后面才加？
后面再加热，你看它没有？
Okay.
后面还没有通电呢。
Okay. So they're gonna add the heat now, right? That's what he said.
现在这个就是加热了。
对，这个是加热。
是要多少温度？温度是多少？
温度的话，一般调个100多度，不能太高。
Okay.
对。
Oh, okay.
Because he needs to do another one, right?
Yeah, he's going to do another one.
Okay.
Because he could only do 8
at a time.
Based on his tool.
Yeah. Now he's adding heat, so the hot air station is currently running at 390 plus or minus degrees Celsius. He's directly applying heat to the surface, to where the solder balls are, and then he's got the memory modules themselves heated from underneath by a hot plate. So the hot plate's plugged in, that's running at 195 degrees Celsius, and now he's just holding it down while he presses it into the hot plate. Is it hard to get like 4090s or 5090s for him?
4090跟5090，你取得这些卡好不好取得？好不好买？
我这边是修，没买过。
没有买过。
对，我都给人家修的，就人家已经买过了，发到我这来修。
So just customers bring it, he doesn't have to buy it.
He doesn't actually buy it.
Okay.
He just repair.
Got it. It's just so crazy to me how like there's a couple shops in the US that can do repairs, but they don't really do like this level of repair. But I don't know of a single shop in the US that does like the memory modding.
因为在美国顶多就是可能电源坏掉或者一些插头。Yeah, because labor cost is a huge issue, right? For the US, for him it's like it's worth it. For the customers, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't like the labor cost or the service cost is not as high.
所以他需要不确定镀焊剂吗？这个
镀焊剂是吧？
上面
这不是吗？这就是。
OK。
镀焊膏。无条件。
So next stage, at this point, they've reballed all of the memory and the GPU, and now he's cleaning the surface of it to prep it to mount to a new PCB. We saw the new PCB earlier where it's a brand new custom PCB they just ordered from Taobao, which is the retailer. It's adding flux now. Louis Rossmann says you can never have enough flux. And so that's going to help it when he melts the solder to apply it to the board. Another custom, so there's a custom template, just like for the memory. He's going to apply that to the surface. And now he's got a tray to catch the excess. And he's going to just, yes, basically like sifting for gold or something in sand. So he's sifting it. Wipe off the extra. And then carefully remove the template while leaving them all in place. And they should be held in place by the flux. So this is a jig to hold the GPU in place. I guess the question is that to protect the GPU from the heat?
日板中间那一片那个铁的那个板子啊，是用来保护那个
核心的
是。
对对，要不然的话，晶体都挨着那个。
I guess are they putting the stuff on the card now?
可以装了的。
This is a new one. Okay, so now the GPU's on there. So we're at the final stage. This whole process is like about 2 hours, I guess. And now we're doing the opposite of what happened earlier in the day. So now instead of removing the GPU, he's adding the GPU. So he's very carefully positioning the GPU to precisely align the BGA with the solder balls. And now he's left the room, so I guess Tannen's going to take over from here. Interesting. So it looks like he's starting to reach steady state on the temperature, a couple hundred degrees. Ton of bubbling going on at the edges, but they're just baking the GPU back on. So at this point in the process, the PCB has been swapped. The PCB already had all of the VRM components and the I/O populated, 12-volt high power. And now they've added new memory to the front and the back. One's got reused memory, one's got brand new. And then the GPU's been pulled and swapped and is now being remounted. And they're telling us that this is a 99% chance success. This is what Kingpin called the nervous part. Okay, so he's going to cool it off with the fan. Do they reuse the same cooler that they took off the old board, or do they need a new cooler now?
新的，
用新的。
对，装好以后要先试一下能不能亮，不能亮还要继续修呢。
OK。
好。
所以现在测试的吗？
对对，测试看能不能成功嘛。
嗯。
That's the
cool. Snapping.
Moment of truth.
Moment of truth, yeah. So he's just gonna hold the heatsink on and see if it powers on. Cool. Okay, so now he's testing to see if it actually powers on after all that. It's got a green LED with displays up, debug up top. And he's just holding a heatsink in place because all he needs is power to see if it spits out display. We got display up top, so it is functional. Now it's just a question of everything detects.
I don't know. We're lucky. He's like, usually it doesn't turn on the first time. It's a while. They know we have a train to catch.
Yeah. Does he know, do the customers who buy these, do they mostly put them in servers?
Yeah, it's like if the customer buys more like multiple units, then it's probably like, you know,
server. Yeah. Yeah. That's why the blower fan would be better for servers because they pack them in so tight.
I was just asking if they have different choices for the cooler, and then they're like, there's only one. They don't have a choice basically.
所以这个327你也在淘宝买的吗？这个
对
OK
有卖。
So next step, one of the last steps in the process, since it booted and worked now, they are pulling the protective film from the thermal pads. There's a PTM, or actually that might be a paste actually, pre-applied. Looks like it was just silk screened on there. Looks like it works. So within 2 hours, start to finish, we have a working 4090 48 gigabyte. At the beginning of this process, the card was working, but it had been through so many repairs that it was very likely it'd break again at some point from something they couldn't really predict. First of all, from a waste standpoint, it's just way better to figure out a way to save that card because the PCB is kind of the least valuable thing in all of that, and is also the least precious of the resources. Being able to save the silicon that's in the memory and in the actual GPU itself, that has a lot of value, but especially has value in China, where they just don't have as much supply. Even though the supply looks pretty damn good from what we saw, it's still intentionally restricted. So purely from the perspective of the people living there, not only is this better than what NVIDIA shipped to begin with, and really not that far off in price when it was at its most scalped, it's also just a good way to kind of keep the silicon in circulation even as things like MOSFETs, capacitors, or PCBs die. The silicon tends to be pretty resilient, and it doesn't really die that often on GPUs. So what this tells us is that this is maybe an alternative method to getting more GPUs into supply. If they take the broken boards and then put functional silicon back into circulation, it's a certain level of ingenuity, and there aren't many places that are set up to handle it. Brother John's shop is impressive. We're excited for the whole separate video on that. After finishing at the repair shop, we rushed over to the high-speed rail, spent 6 hours traveling back to Shenzhen Bay, adding another 1,000 miles or so to our travel log here, and then we took a car over to visit this guy. He calls himself the Chinese Eminem. Eminem in China. So mean! This is Joe. He works as a creative director of product at the video card manufacturer Yeston, most famous for their waifu video cards. You know the ones.
Yeah. I'm his father. She's father.
She's father. Yes, you're she's father.
Yeah, we have husband.
Anything else you want to talk about on camera? I think we got it all.
Support GamersNexus. Support Jesus. 电子耶稣. Yeah, I also have a same nickname.
Which one?
Yes, 猛男 of Yeston.
What does that mean in English?
Yeston's tough guy.
Tough guy.
Yeah.
All boss, I will put your head on the ground.
Now, Joe and Yeston were not officially contributing to the black market side of the research here, just to be clear to their own partners. Instead, they showed us around their factory. This will be a separate upload later with an actual factory tour with them, showing how the waifus are made. But in this particular video, there were a few interesting things we learned that we thought fit here pretty well. The big takeaway from the factories is that they receive their GPU supply, of course, from their partners. That would be AMD, Intel, or NVIDIA, and the memory is often packaged with it. But for the most part, everything else that they use, unless they're buying reference PCBs, all of that comes from whatever sources they want to find for their supply. We were also informed that there's very little oversight in terms of the management of the rejects at these places. They can file for refunds if, for example, a chip is bad, but if they screw up a board in their own process, like the SMT line's miscalibrated and optical inspection doesn't catch the error and they place a MOSFET on backwards and blow something up or whatever, then it's going to be on them to deal with the defect. Now, this type of thing
basically never happens. All of this stuff is highly automated. The point of pointing it out, though, is that for at least the gaming class cards, which the 5090 more or less is one of, there's enough volume and NVIDIA is hands-off enough that it would be pretty easy to make these disappear. The biggest reason for this is that there are partners for the 5090s. It's not like a card that only NVIDIA makes, such as the RTX Pro 6000 and the Blackwell edition. And since there are partners, NVIDIA is only tracking when they sell them the GPUs. They don't necessarily keep tabs on where those get distributed once they're done being manufactured. So for this reason, if a factory wants to just sell it domestically in China, and they think they can get away with it without being added to the entity list, which it's very likely would kill their business with NVIDIA, then they can go ahead and sell them domestically. That might be how some of these trading companies get a hold of them. It's an easier way to make them disappear than through channels that are more publicly visible from NVIDIA and government. Now, Yeston doesn't make 5090s, but the processes they taught us about illustrate how that could happen. As for the server-grade solutions, there are manufacturers for those that are pretty tightly controlled. Basically, the silicon is made in Taiwan. It's shipped to wherever it's going to be assembled. Almost all of the other components are sourced in China, and as a result, it's easiest to keep the whole supply chain there, including the assembly. And the assembly involves the same stuff you're seeing for the lower-end cards and the AMD solutions we're looking at from Yeston in this factory line. They use surface mount technology, or SMT lines, with conveyored inflow of PCBs, reels upon reels of components that are placed smallest to largest, with the most valuable typically at the very end, that'd be the GPU, and then manual placement for heatsinks. There is often manual assembly, even for NVIDIA's high-end stuff. Although we can't show you that here, we have seen it being made. That's in different factories. And at the end of the process, it's possible they find a defect. Again, Dr. Vinci Chao had one, where he has a broken link on his board. There's a good chance that stayed in China and never left. If it was reported as a defect to NVIDIA, then it may have effectively just been written off and considered trash. But after seeing how a highly skilled group like Brother John's repair shop a second ago can just repurpose all those components that are still good, you could see how there would be value in figuring out a way to make that board disappear, even if it's supposed to be in the trash. This comes back to NVIDIA's turning a blind eye, because they'd eventually notice it from the serial number popping up somewhere, but maybe they choose not to. And besides, once someone has it, especially in China, there's not a ton they can do anyway. That's a look inside the manufacturing process, which we felt was an important piece to this story. Let's move on to the next stop. My favorite place to go in the world, Taipei, Taiwan. Most of our stay in Taiwan was for other stories. However, we did accidentally unturn one stone with something interesting under it. We can't show any B-roll for this because we do protect sources, so we're just showing some other footage instead. A B2B company in Taiwan noted to us that it's commissioned by Chinese companies to import servers for pre-testing and pre-assembly and setup steps. When we asked what the GPUs were that the servers ran, having just done all the rest of this, we realized that all of the hardware is export controlled. Once the B2B agency completes its testing, it ships the system out to the original buyer. Basically, they act as an intermediary to buy the machine, mark it up, and reship it to the original purchaser, maybe with actual testing. We also spoke with a company that conducts business in Singapore. The company informed us that they are also aware of similar pass-throughs for so-called testing or data services. Our last link in this chain is actually the first. The smugglers bring it full circle, and the smugglers themselves also put us back in the United States. We didn't think we'd be able to find someone doing the dirty work here, but in the final hours, a viewer had a lead. This led to about a 12 or 16 hour production delay as we were wrapping the project, but as far as we're aware, this is the first content piece that actually features someone doing the highest risk dirty work. Everyone else we spoke to is in China. They're safe from US retaliation, but large-scale smugglers get arrested, fined millions of dollars, and can spend years in prison if they were really serious. A viewer contacted us to say that he'd connected with a traveling GPU buyer. The story went that this guy drives around buying specifically RTX 4090s. He doesn't care about anything else, including 5090s, because those don't sell as well to China. 4090s are ideal, he told us, because they can be modified into cost-effective 48GB models, like we saw at Brother John's shop. The smuggler was extremely open with us in text messages written only in Chinese, but wasn't open to us flying out to him. He did allow us to share this video of his car, though. The plug, as we call him, has an ATX test bench, motherboard, simple downdraft cooler, and a gigantic battery in the trunk of his Prius. He also has at least one spare license plate in the trunk, in addition to the one on the back of his car. We're not sure why, but better not to ask. People like The Plug post on Facebook Marketplace and other common online reseller forums looking to buy GPUs, just like anyone else in your city would. The Plug offers $2,000 flat per 4090, doesn't matter which model it is. It's not a bad price. He told us that he then finds ways to get them into China. He recently was scammed out of $5,500 though of payments owed by a Hong Kong buyer, and that buyer resells in Hong Kong. He's been considering hand-carrying the devices and luggage instead. Margin is slim. He makes just under $300 US per GPU profit. But that's before counting gas, potential hotels as he travels, and time. Our understanding is that some in his shoes will strip the GPU cooler off and ship just the PCB back to China, increasing their margin. Coolers are available in abundance where they're made, so it can be cheaper to do this than pay for the weight and the size. He sometimes buys entire computers just to take the 4090s out, as that's what the bounty's on. He then sells the remaining system back to whoever will buy it. He told us that 5090 prices in China are falling so fast due to oversupply, ironically, that he'd lose money reselling it to China and would do better flipping it to Americans. The Plug isn't rich. She seems to be doing okay, but it's not the type of wealth you might expect for taking such risk. We can't overstate, though, how important it was to get this piece of the story, as this allowed us to fully complete the chain. And a huge thanks to our anonymous viewer who set that up. Many of the sources we met in Asia during this trip told us they simply don't know how the GPUs actually get in. And now we know. People doing this on a small scale, like The Plug, are unlikely to be caught. But operations transacting millions of dollars worth of GPUs would have a harder time getting them out undetected. And that brings us to the end of our travels, but not the end of this piece. We have two more entities to look at, and that's NVIDIA and the US government. The legality is simple. This is our understanding of it. There's no restriction on purchasers, only on sellers the US has control over. Even Americans buying GPUs in China are not violating any laws. It is not restricted. So we'll start with selling. The simplest answer to who the sale of GPUs is restricted for is anybody who doesn't have a specific export license and who would be governed by US law. And NVIDIA can't just bypass it by shipping from a different country instead. It has to do with the sale, not with the shipment location. That includes entities buying from US companies like European companies who would be under guidance from both NVIDIA and, if they do business with the US, its government. It's also illegal for anybody in the United States, citizen or not, to sell these GPUs to China, Hong Kong, Macau, or companies in those locations if the seller does not have a re-export license. It is not illegal for a person of any nationality in America to sell a GPU to any non-restricted entity. As for buying,
there's absolutely nothing illegal about for us over here to buy these GPUs.
But it's also not illegal to sell them in China for a Chinese company. The Chinese government doesn't generally enforce American export laws. Other nations cooperating with the United States might, such as recent arrests in Singapore, but once the GPU is in China, the people in possession of it likely don't care. Buyer or seller, or someone who does both, like GPU dealer Vincent.
这个本来中国政府是跟中国政府没什么事的，禁止是美国禁止嘛，是英伟达他们不能再往这边销售而已啊。
The only control over Chinese companies that the US has is the entity list, which would hurt their business prospects with American companies, but only if they care about that. Chinese GPU middleman Sitan He in Tianjin landed on the entity list for transacting banned GPUs and being found out. Sitan He purchases GPUs from anyone who can get them into China, and then they bid on domestic projects like data center build-outs. The entity list was used to restrict, for example, Deepcool previously, resulting in their American partners ceasing business with them for fear of frozen assets, audits, or collateral bans. So this hurts companies like Deepcool that want to operate in the US, and it even shut down their California office. But for Sitan He, they mostly want to do business with other Chinese companies, and so it'd have limited impact unless they wanted to expand to do business with Americans. Beyond the entity list, the US really has no control over what happens inside Chinese borders. That means the only point at which a GPU could feasibly be intercepted and a person arrested would be operating in the US or in transit to intermediary countries such as Singapore, which may have their own export laws. The people buying and selling them within China are not breaking any of their own government's laws, though. And so we come back to NVIDIA. At every turn, it really looks like NVIDIA is playing all sides. If there's enough money to be made, anybody is NVIDIA's friend. We think the story of AI GPUs has become a story of corruption between governments and the wealthiest company on Earth. For example, on April 30th, Amazon-backed AI startup Anthropic called on the US government to increase export control restrictions to China. As part of this blog post, Anthropic said the government needs to improve its export enforcement to reduce smuggling. The company cited examples of chips being smuggled with, quote, prosthetic baby bumps, end quote, and, quote, live lobsters, end quote. This upset NVIDIA, obviously, because NVIDIA doesn't like restrictions to making money. So NVIDIA shot back. Seemingly taking a page out of Trump's playbook, NVIDIA essentially called this fake news. Quote, American firms should focus on innovation and rise to the challenge, rather than tell tall tales that large, heavy, and sensitive electronics are somehow smuggled in, scare quotes, baby bumps, or scare quotes, alongside live lobsters, end quote. Except Anthropic isn't telling tall tales. It's right. A 2022 video that we uncovered showed a security check at Zhuhai, a port in Guangdong. It's not far from Shenzhen, wherein a woman with a prosthetic baby bump was shown to have been carrying CPUs and iPhones instead. The report made it to customs.gov.cn, stating that she arrived from Macau, a common go-between, similar to Hong Kong. This story got international attention in technical media, and we reject the possibility that NVIDIA wasn't aware of it. We found the official Chinese government posting about smuggling from Macau. Imports to most of China are taxed, and so tax evasion coupled with smuggling will increase margin on the electronics rather than sharing it with one of the two governments. If you're already breaking a US law, it seems some just go for a hat trick and increase the profits. As for the lobsters, that's real too. We unearthed this official Hong Kong customs website detailing a white van busted driving on the Zhuhai-Macau bridge, filled with 280 kilograms of undeclared live lobsters and, yes, 70 smuggled GPUs, complete with photo evidence. The Hong Kong Customs itself calls this sosi, or smuggling, and notes a maximum sentence of 7 years. NVIDIA's response to call these tall tales, then, is not only defensive, but serves to gaslight and grossly mislead, we think, and is tantamount to lying for sake of downplaying reality for its own benefit. But then, this is a common NVIDIA tactic, including its dishonest approach to reviews that we've already detailed in our opinions, and its deceptive and we think false advertising of the RTX 5070 as being equivalent to an RTX 4090. Which is provably and comically false. Another instance of NVIDIA's fake news defense was following a July 24th publication by the Financial Times, reporting that more than $1 billion of NVIDIA AI chips had been smuggled into China. In response, NVIDIA, whose blind eye is turning an awful lot lately, downplayed the issue, stating, quote, trying to cobble together data centers from smuggled products is a losing proposition, both technically and economically. Data centers require service and support, which we provide only to authorized NVIDIA products, end quote. The last part sounds like something a company selling support would say, and the first part doesn't really match NVIDIA's whole the more you buy, the more you save thing. It's only a winning proposition by all of their prior years of statements. If your only option is a useless, insufficient data center or a cobbled-together sufficient data center, then a cobbled-together one is still a winning proposition by comparison. It's weird for them to pretend that this isn't worth doing. It's worth like lots of money. That same day, WhiteHouse.gov posted an article titled Why to Claim for President Trump's Visionary AI Action Plan. Near the top of the post, it highlighted a sycophantic quote from Jensen Huang, which read, quote, America's unique advantage that no country could possibly have is President Trump, end quote. And we would call that sycophantic if it's about any president. On August 5th, NVIDIA got another opportunity to talk. The U.S. Department of Justice announced that it had arrested 2 people in California for smuggling, quote, tens of millions of dollars worth of sensitive microchips used in artificial intelligence applications, end quote, to China. The court documents say the shipments included the NVIDIA H100 and the NVIDIA RTX 4090. Rather than admit smuggling exists, NVIDIA downplayed the situation again and stated this time, quote, this case demonstrates that smuggling is a non-starter, end quote. Except that anyone who made tens of millions of dollars before getting caught had a pretty good start, and so did their customers. This is a bullshit statement from NVIDIA that seemingly aims to downplay and deflect to reduce lawmaker attention on its monopoly. NVIDIA also said, quote, "We primarily sell products to well-known partners, including OEMs, who help us ensure that all sales comply with the U.S. export control rules." NVIDIA noted that, quote, "Any diverted products would have no service, support, or updates," end quote. Again, this is not fully true. Our own sources in this story noted that although something like an HGX system would be hard to service, a standalone PCIe GPU could be parted out and covered under a separate warranty, even in China. Meanwhile, the US began scrutinizing NVIDIA's technology for getting into China, whether or not the company itself was directly involved. In a bipartisan report called DeepSeek Unmasked, a government committee called DeepSeek a, quote, "threat to national security," end quote, and said DeepSeek had used NVIDIA's technology. Quote, "AI model appears to be powered by advanced chips provided by American semiconductor giant NVIDIA and reportedly utilizes tens of thousands of chips that are currently restricted from export to the People's Republic of China, or PRC. NVIDIA designed and manufactured many of these chips to create the most sophisticated possible chip while skirting US export controls. This has allowed these chips to be exported to China as the US government develops stricter restrictions. Since March 2024, it is estimated that NVIDIA has produced over 1 million chips for the Chinese market," end quote. The government also examined NVIDIA's significant revenue growth in Singapore compared to China based on SEC filings, particularly in years featuring restrictions. The government questioned, quote, "whether PRC customers are arranging for the diversion of sensitive chips that are reportedly sold through Singapore," end quote. This was stated because revenue from Singapore had grown from almost nothing since 2020 or 2021. NVIDIA has defended its sales to Singapore by stating that, quote, "customers use Singapore to centralize invoicing while our products are almost always shipped elsewhere," end quote. According to NVIDIA, shipments destined to Singapore were only 2% of the company's total revenue in 2025. But we also know that Singapore has made numerous arrests relating to GPU smuggling, so there appears to be some reason for the concerns, whether or not NVIDIA itself wants to turn a blind eye to it. Despite the allegations, NVIDIA downplayed any smuggling of AI chips. In this video, uploaded 2 months ago from what appears to be either a potato or a VHS tape, Jensen Huang speaks on smuggling.
Governments understand that diversion is not allowed, and there's no evidence of any AI chip diversion.
Except that there is evidence of it, not only in this very movie, but in readily available reports online for years now. Huang continued.
Our data center GPUs are massive. These are massive systems. The Grace Blackwell system is nearly 2 tons. And so you're not going to be putting that in your pocket or your backpack anytime soon. And so these systems are fairly easy to keep track of. But the important thing is that the countries and the companies that we sell to recognize that diversion is not allowed. And everybody would like to continue to buy NVIDIA technology. And so they're very well, they monitor themselves very carefully, and they're quite careful about that.
This one's interesting. He's right in that it is much harder to smuggle Grace Blackwell or Hopper HGX class systems completely. Dr. Vinci Chao's statements align with this.
It's very hard to get like a full HGX system, right?
But it still happens. At least one of NVIDIA's GPU and server customers in another country told us that they facilitate intermediary transmission to China and in fact showed us the server racks on site in their facilities. We weren't allowed to film them, so this footage is from Computex instead, but we saw them. A separate representative told us that document forgery through third-party countries can also disguise such transshipments. One middleman told us on camera earlier that an NVIDIA distributor gets parts into China, a downchain factory, and not the one we're showing right now, in case NVIDIA has its famed Journal of Retaliation out, told us that NVIDIA's QC rejects sometimes end up repurposed and kept in China, salvaging the GPU and the VRAM and scrapping the rest. Dr. Vinci Chao told us that one of his own devices had a defective link on it, contributing to this statement because he acquired said device. It just happens to have a defect. And he also said this.
Do you think NVIDIA knows that all of this is happening?
I would be surprised if they don't, right?
Yeah.
I would be surprised. I would be really surprised if they don't. Right? These are very expensive items.
Yeah.
Right? I would imagine you would keep track of everything, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that? Yeah, it's hard to know what they can do, what they plan to do with all these defective parts. But I'll be very surprised that no one have ever thought of the possibility that if it's something so valuable, someone would come up with a use of
Even a defective one.
Defective ones.
Yeah. So, in one set of statements, NVIDIA says that smuggling doesn't really happen because the export controls work and keep partners in line. But in another statement, Jensen Huang called the US export controls a, quote, failure, end quote, talking out of both sides of his mouth, we think. He spoke of competing Chinese GPU brands posing a threat to NVIDIA. Quote, the local companies are very, very talented and very determined, and the export control gave them the spirit, the energy, and the government support to accelerate their development. I think, all in all, the export control was a failure, end quote. But the stakes and the dollar signs for NVIDIA had increased. Jensen said NVIDIA's market share in China had dropped from 95% to 50%. And in NVIDIA's May quarterly earnings before the H20 exemption and revenue share, Jensen Huang said the company's data center business in China was done. Quote, however, the $50 billion China market is effectively closed to U.S. industry. The H20 export ban ended our Hopper data center business in China, end quote. Or, as Jensen says, the China market is worth one Boeing.
The Chinese market in a couple of years is probably about $50 billion. The market we've left behind is utterly gigantic. $50 billion, just so you have a feeling for that number, $50 billion is like Boeing.
Probably not the best example, but okay. Let's look back at the timeline one more time for these export controls and NVIDIA. This time we'll focus on highlighting NVIDIA's side of things, which is its relentless appetite for global domination. The October 7th, 2022 Biden administration export controls had a stated goal of, quote, protecting U.S. national security and foreign policy interests, end quote, by implementing new export controls restricting China's ability to build high-end semiconductors, including for the development of supercomputers. There was an included goal of staving off the potential for China to develop, quote, nuclear weapons and other military technologies, end quote. Blocking the H100 and A100 led to NVIDIA creating an export-compliant A800 at about 70% of the speed of an A100 for the Chinese market. A year later, on October 17th, 2023, the U.S. Department of Commerce updated its export compliance and restricted NVIDIA's A800 chip as well, alongside the newer China-targeted H800. Weeks later, on December 6, 2023, NVIDIA told reporters in Singapore that it would be working on another new chip that would comply with the U.S.'s new restrictions. On July 13, 2025, which was after Donald Trump won the 2024 presidential election, but a week before he took office, the outgoing Biden administration tightened export controls by introducing national chip caps for many countries, except for 18 allies. That's the AI diffusion rule we spoke of earlier, and it would have gone into effect in May. NVIDIA, who had remained relatively quiet about the regulations up until this point, criticized the restriction and made an attempt to appeal to the president-elect, stating, quote, it makes no sense for the Biden White House to control everyday data center computers and technology that's already in gaming PCs worldwide, disguised as an anti-China move. The extreme country cap policy will affect mainstream computers in countries around the world, doing nothing to promote national security, but rather pushing the world to alternative technologies. AI is mainstream computing, ubiquitous and essential as electricity. This last-minute Biden administration policy would be a legacy that will be criticized by U.S. industry and the global community, end quote. Seems like NVIDIA tried to also set up an appeal to the president-elect, stating this, quote, we would encourage President Biden to not preempt incoming President Trump by enacting a policy that will only harm the U.S. economy, set America back, and play into the hands of U.S. adversaries, end quote. This is where in the timeline we'd hit the $1 million dinner and then the ensuing unban of the H20 chip, but we've already covered that. Later that month, on April 30th, Huang said this of Trump.
Without the president's leadership, his policies, his support, and very importantly, his strong encouragement, and I mean his strong encouragement. Frankly, manufacturing in the United States wouldn't have accelerated to this pace.
A month after the Mar-a-Lago estate dinner on May 7th, the U.S. Department of Commerce confirmed that it will not implement the AI diffusion rule that NVIDIA campaigned against and that was created under the Biden administration. The rule was supposed to go into effect a week later, on May 15th. This does not unban GPUs like the H100, 5090, B100, and so on. Following the termination of what was supposed to be a rule to address national security implications, the Department of Commerce, now under President Trump, stated, quote,
The Biden AI rule is overly complex, overly bureaucratic, and would stymie American innovation. We'll be replacing it with a much simpler rule that unleashes American innovation and ensures American AI dominance, end quote. NVIDIA predictably celebrated this statement. The company, which has been begging to sell to China while also praising Taiwan's importance, now took an America First posture, collecting countries like Pokemon. Quote, we welcome the administration's leadership and new direction on AI policy. With the AI diffusion rule revoked, America will have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to lead the next industrial revolution and create high-paying U.S. jobs, build new U.S. supplied infrastructure, and alleviate the trade deficit, end quote. And job creation promises coming from this company in particular are interesting, but they are playing all sides here consistently. Later that month, on May 28th, Juan spoke with Mad Money host Jim Cramer. He stated, quote,
when he rescinded the AI diffusion rule, it was a visionary move, it was a bold move, and he recognizes that there's an AI race and we're not alone. And he wants America to win.
June 23rd, via Reuters, an official of the U.S. State Department, which didn't reply to GamersNexus, except the department did send us 3 out-of-office autoresponders, warned of deep-seek military and intelligence operations and warned of the use of shell companies, they called them, in Southeast Asia to circumvent export restrictions. The report mentioned that DeepSeek had, quote, large volumes, unquote, of high-end H100 chips, which are banned in China. NVIDIA didn't like that and responded to Reuters and stated, quote, we do not support parties that have violated U.S. export controls or are on the U.S. entity lists. Also saying, quote, with the current export controls, we are effectively out of the China data center market, which is now served only by competitors such as Huawei. Turning a blind eye to the situation, NVIDIA added, quote, our review indicates that DeepSeek used lawfully acquired H800 products, not H100, end quote. 3 days later, on June 26th, the information reported that DeepSeek's next AI model had been delayed due to a shortage of NVIDIA AI GPUs in China. This directly contradicts Juan's comments that export controls, according to him, do not work. July 4th, Bloomberg reported that the Department of Commerce, which also did not reply to GamersNexus's emails, was preparing new export controls on Malaysia and Thailand to reduce chip smuggling. Interestingly, Singapore, which now comprises a significant portion of NVIDIA's revenue, was not on that list, despite being a known smuggling pass-through. July 10th, Bloomberg reported that Juan and Trump were scheduled to meet again ahead of the CEO's planned trip to China. Days later, on July 14th, NVIDIA confirmed that it will resume sales of H20 chips to China, with Juan stating, quote, the U.S. government has assured NVIDIA that licenses will be granted, and NVIDIA hopes to start delivery soon, end quote. On the 15th, a CNBC Business News anchor said this.
He really just pulled off something that few tech CEOs have managed. He played both Washington and Beijing, and he won. Jensen has stayed disciplined and diplomatic with a clear message, and that is NVIDIA's dominance serves America's interests.
On the 28th, the Financial Times reported that the U.S. Commerce Department was not going to make tough moves to tighten export controls to China. This is in spite of several congressional members warning the administration not to loosen the U.S. export controls for AI GPUs. Several national security experts also voiced concern by sending a letter to the U.S. Commerce Department, which read, quote, we write to express our deep concern over the recent decision to resume exports of NVIDIA's H20 chips to China. As policymakers and professionals with a background in national security policy, we believe this move represents a strategic misstep that endangers the United States' economic and military edge in artificial intelligence, end quote. On August 11th, we got the comments about the U.S. potentially allowing Blackwell chips to be sold to China as well for 30 to 40 or 50% of a revenue share, and that brings us to today. NVIDIA might have started off as a much more humble company, but it has become a savvy political player in a game that is seemingly pay to win. That seems only fitting for a gaming company to be particularly good at pay-to-win games. There's no one better equipped to play that game than actually the most valuable company by market cap in the world, now at $4 trillion, led by a man whose net worth is estimated at $148 billion. NVIDIA knows when to bite its tongue and how to effectively appeal to the ego of politicians of all parties and all countries. We think NVIDIA is playing all sides. We think it's greedy, manipulative, and carefully employs propaganda, such as its use of this fake news playbook for news which was literally reality. But we don't think NVIDIA has a particular set of beliefs beyond just making more money. We think NVIDIA will sell anybody out to make a buck. NVIDIA's in the big leagues now. It's not like the 1080 Ti days. Inside of 1 month, reportedly paying $1 million to a sitting president, after which followed the unlock of $5.5 billion of lost H20 revenue, followed next by a 15% split of that unlock going to the US government, is what raises these new questions of NVIDIA's integrity, but we've kind of already talked about that over the last year now. As for the actual black market side of things and smuggling, that was a cool story. This was like crazy exciting to work on. I loved actually being out in the field and meeting all these people. Like we set up some of it in advance, but a lot of people we met on the ground there, we were able to like actually get to the bottom of something. It's pretty cool. We've learned that common methods include factory so-called QC defects, or sometimes real ones, where they repurpose hardware that might otherwise have been written off by especially NVIDIA as just trash. But people with the right skills can reclaim it. We learned about the other method of hand carrying items in, like with students or actual smugglers on the ground in the US facilitating the transfer of the GPUs. And of course, we learned about suppliers through third-party countries, among other methods. So we did answer the question that we had going into this, which was all about how these cards get in. Again, we loved working on this story and meeting all of these unique people. Each person played a key role in helping us find the next person and allowing us to complete the first public, on-record, start-to-finish cataloging of a smuggling pipeline for high-end silicon. Our sincere thanks to everybody who made this possible and appeared on camera with us, including our viewers who funded it. And a big thanks to my team working on this project. Vitaly, Andrew, and Mike spent about a month training Tan on how to use a camera, because we needed a camera operator for this trip, and he's a writer. Vitaly helmed overall production, organization of the files, and cutting of the 12 hours of footage initially. Andrew led the artistic efforts, worked on the new products, did the great scene transitions you saw, and general graphics. Tannen was on the camera, and worked with me in Asia for 3 weeks on this story, and during a lot of travel. Tim, on the team, handled the bulk editing of the informational sections and the timeline for this video. And Ben compiled hundreds of pages of research and worked directly with me throughout the process to figure out what the hell this story was gonna be. Thanks to Ryan for doing the black market logo as well, and all of the other contributions in between, like from Aaron Pauly and Matthew Kichihifi on some of the music contributions. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. We have more of these in the works. You go to store.gamersnexus.net to support this directly. Thank you.